Vol 2, Chapter 442, The Dream Sisters. So, you're saying that when they're apart, they're just ordinary people, but together, they become powerful, force-sensitive beings? Tang Xiao expressed his surprise. Exactly. The fibrils within their bodies exhibit a peculiar state. When separated by a significant distance, these fibrils enter a dormant state and cease to function. However, when they're close to each other, the fibrils become active once more. But it's important to note that even when they're apart, they're not entirely ordinary. They still possess a degree of telepathy, explained Coleman Truber. Tang Xiao pondered this revelation. The existence of force-sensitive individuals among his people was a significant discovery and a valuable asset for the Fourth Civilization. He recalled an incident with Rory Swan, who had felt uncomfortable standing near him, attributing it to a supernatural intuition. At the time, Tang Xiao had assumed it was because Swan hailed from the Starcraft universe, where the awakening of psychic powers was relatively common. But now, the presence of force-sensitive individuals suggested that the people of the Fourth Civilization were beginning to awaken to their own powers. The distinction between the psionic powers of Starcraft and the Force of Star Wars warranted further investigation. Tang Xiao was keen on studying the three children himself, but recognized his limitations in teaching them effectively. The Luna sisters, in particular, presented a unique challenge that even Coleman Truber admitted would perplex the Jedi Order. How talented are they? Tang Xiao inquired. Jing Fang's fibril density is around 7,000 to 8,000, which is quite impressive. As for the Luna sisters, Darim Luna's density is 9,000, and Fantasy Luna's is... Coleman Truber hesitated before revealing, her density is 12,000. Tang Xiao was astounded by Fantasy Luna's exceptional talent, which bordered on that of a pure force entity. He found the sisters' names, Dream Luna and Phantom Luna, curious and inquired about their origin. Their names are quite intriguing. Did you come up with them? He asked their parents. The mother answered cautiously, Not exactly. I dreamt of them. Throughout my pregnancy, I frequently dreamt of these names. Coleman Truber mentioned that despite the Luna sisters being slightly older, their unique twin effect and their potential make them of great interest to the Jedi Order. After consulting with Master Yoda, we're hopeful to bring them in for training, Coleman Truber shared, looking expectantly at Tang Xiao. Has a teacher been chosen for them? Tang Xiao asked. Master Depa Balaba has been tentatively selected as Master Windu's most accomplished apprentice and a distinguished female Jedi Master. I'm confident the Luna sisters will receive the finest care and instruction, Coleman replied. A subtle smile appeared on Tang Xiao's lips. He nodded and said, After consulting with the parents of the three children, Dawn Planet will not obstruct the Jedi Order's intentions. I'll make the necessary arrangements. On behalf of the Jedi Order, I extend our deepest gratitude for Dawn Planet's cooperation. May the Force be with you, Coleman Truber said, bowing slightly. May the Force be with you, Master Coleman, Tang Xiao responded, nodding before turning to leave. Daphne Clement, however, pulled Tang Xiao aside and whispered, Lord Governor, are we really letting these three incredibly talented children go? According to Master Coleman, Jing Fang's talent is a rare commodity, and the Luna sisters possess a kind that is scarcely found in the world. Moreover, the Jedi Knights are notorious for their rigorous training methods, often leading their disciples to forsake all familial bonds, recognizing only the Force. It's a complex situation, but as for the Luna sisters, Tang Xiao said with a knowing smile, clapping Clement on the shoulder before departing. It's worth noting that the Luna sisters are considered slightly older by the standards of those typically taken in by the Jedi. Additionally, residents of the Fourth Civilization are implanted with sleep cues during their youth. While these cues are subtle, they are usually effective. Interestingly, the Luna sisters' mentor is Depa Balaba, a fact that Tang Xiao finds particularly intriguing. Could this be the will of the Force or merely a twist of fate? Depa Balaba, a pupil of Master Windu and one of the top 5 lightsaber masters in the Jedi Order, later succumbs to the dark side. This thought alone nearly prompts Tang Xiao to burst into laughter, but he restrains himself in the presence of Coleman Truber. The potential fall of Depa Balaba to the dark side presents an opportunity for Tang Xiao. It could be the perfect moment to reconnect with the Luna sisters, who would have completed their training by then. Perhaps they could even be swayed to join Depa Balaba. In her moment of greatest confusion and vulnerability, Darth Marthael will make his move. If the storyline unfolds as expected, this might also present an opportunity to confront Master Windu. As Tang Xiao casts a final glance towards the office, a scarlet light flickers in the corner of his eye. Inside, Coleman Truber remains oblivious, but Luna Meng looks towards the door with a puzzled expression. Luna Huan, on the other hand, is visibly shaken. She stares at Tang Xiao's retreating figure, her eyes wide with shock. However, she quickly resumes her guise of innocence as Coleman turns her way. In the outer ring of the Milky Way, within the Injori galaxy, the Sith infiltrator Red Comet emerges from hyperspace. It approaches a Generosity-class communications frigate, anchored near a large satellite orbiting the planet Injoli. This frigate, a significant 825-meter-long battleship, was acquired by Tang Xiao through his connections with Thornhill, co-chairman of the Interstellar Banking Association. Painted in the black and white of the Fourth Civilization Navy, its presence serves as a deterrent to any potential threats from the Injoris. Meanwhile, a secretive project is underway, led by none other than William Birkin. Vol 2, Chapter 443, Uncontrollable Forces. Dressed in a white lab coat, the slender figure of biologist William Birkin stood with a sullen expression in front of a massive culture tank. Inside, the corpse of an Injoli floated eerily. Aware of Tang Xiao's arrival, Birkin chose not to greet him, his gaze fixed on the culture tank, lost in thought. When Tang Xiao approached, standing beside him, Birkin spoke slowly, his voice tinged with a mix of pride and awe. "This is a work of art, isn't it?" Tang Xiao's response was icy, his voice devoid of any warmth. "I'm only interested in how many people this piece of art can kill." Birkin spread his arms wide, his pride unmistakable. "This will be an invincible force. The Injoli are perfect hosts. With their bodies and genes as the foundation, we can create an unparalleled, powerful, and forbidden army." "Forbidden? I don't see it that way," Tang Xiao retorted, turning to face Birkin. "Do you know why I'm here?" Birkin's eyes remained glued to the culture tank, his interest in the conversation seemingly minimal. "I'm devoted to my research. The complexities of your world don't concern me. I asked you to develop a drug that could addict the Injoli. How is that coming along?" Tang Xiao pressed, his patience wearing thin. Birkin dismissed the idea with a wave of his hand. "There's no need for such a drug. The Injoli simply need to fulfill their role as excellent viral vectors and biological weapons." Tang Xiao's tone hardened. "I asked about the progress of the drug." Visibly annoyed, Birkin seemed to think Tang Xiao was interrupting his appreciation of the artwork. Yet he answered, "I did develop a drug in powder form that can be mixed with tobacco for smoking." "And what have you named this drug?" Tang Xiao inquired, still patient. Birkin sighed, his interest waning. "I haven't bothered with a name. Honestly, I don't see its significance. My focus is on creating a groundbreaking biological weapon, a true masterpiece." "Show me your results," Tang Xiao demanded, nodding towards the culture tank. Complying, Birkin pressed a button, and a tube injected a virus into the Injoli corpse. Minutes later, the corpse's eyes snapped open, revealing a unique golden hue devoid of pupils. A violent mutation ensued. The hands thickened, muscle tissue proliferated, and the tough, scaly skin tore apart as the heart swelled and burst through the chest, revealing a grotesque eye. The mutated Injoli had doubled in size, its arms thickened, its mouth gaping, and its skull split to reveal its heart, with an eye grotesquely situated on its chest. It had become a monstrous aberration. Tang Xiao frowned, his tone icy. "I told you I needed a stable biological weapon. The Injoli's natural strength was sufficient. I asked for a T-virus weapon, not a G-virus." Suddenly, the monster in the tank charged towards Tang Xiao, only to be stopped by the sturdy synthetic glass. The impact was loud, the force evident. "Stop it," Tang Xiao ordered. Birkin, however, remained motionless, shaking his head. "My research hasn't progressed to that stage, but rest assured, the G-virus will create a weapon far superior to the T-virus." Before he could finish, an invisible force gripped his neck, lifting him into the air. Tang Xiao's expression was stern. "I don't enjoy ending our conversations with violence, William Birkin, but you must understand, I gave you everything. I allowed you onto the Mothership. I awakened you from hibernation, provided you with the most advanced laboratory, and equipped you with the finest assistants. What I demanded was a biological weapon, a means to control the Injurious. I did not invest in you, so you could use the G-virus as if setting off fireworks, Tang Xiao exclaimed furiously. But the G-virus has a greater mutation potential than the T-virus. William Birkin countered weakly, attempting to argue his point. The G-virus is uncontrollable. It fails to retain the original characteristics of the Injuli people. The so-called masterpiece you've created with it is no B, different from the mutations observed in humans after being injected with the G-virus. Tang Xiao rebuked sharply. No, the G-virus variant is far more potent than the Injulis. I will prove it. William Birkin protested with a hoarse roar, his desperation evident. My patience is wearing thin. It will take too long to stabilize and fine-tune this army for battle readiness. Therefore, I expect to see the T-virus-based biological weapon, utilizing the Injoli gene, ready for deployment within 6 months. Otherwise, your wife and daughter will pay the price. Do you understand? Tang Xiao threatened, his tone leaving no room for negotiation. William Birkin nodded vigorously, understanding the gravity of the situation. With a forceful gesture, Tang Xiao threw him aside. Utilize the T-virus to create a biological weapon. Only then will I consider further funding for your G-virus research. Fail, and perhaps it's time to awaken Alexia Ashford. What do you think? At the mention of Alexia, William's resolve faltered. He bowed his head and acquiesced. Yes, I will develop the biological weapons using the T-virus. Remember, the day Alexia is awakened will be the day your family becomes part of the experiment. You'd better prove your worth and make me reconsider my plans regarding Alexia, Tang Xiao warned before departing. Contrary to popular belief, Alexia Ashford was not among the legendary figures known to many. Tang Xiao speculated that she must be counted among them. After leaving the spaceship, Tang Xiao contacted Shen Yuanhao, the governor of the Injoli galaxy, who was currently with the Juha tribe on the planet Injoli. Piloting the Sith infiltrator Red Comet, Tang Xiao departed from the hangar, soared through the atmosphere, and headed directly towards the Juha tribe. Lord Governor greeted a man with a scarred face, disheveled hair, and a suit nearly torn apart by his bulging muscles. It was Shen Yuanhao, an official once serving as an accountant for the Fourth Group Sales Center in Nasada. Now, he stood as the representative of the Fourth Group among the Injoli people, having adapted remarkably well to their martial culture, his physique significantly more robust. Behind him stood several elder Injuris, the esteemed chiefs of the Juha tribe. Following the suppression of the Injoli uprisings by the Galactic Republic and the Jedi Order, the once dominant Zam tribe had fallen into decline. In contrast, the Juha tribe, previously oppressed, had risen to prominence, now wielding significant influence on the planet Injoli. Vol 2, Chapter 444, Determination. The Juha tribe of the Injoli people had been effectively subdued. With the backing of the Fourth Group, this tribe had ascended to prominence, bolstered by a generous supply of cigars that had peculiar effects on the Injoli physiology. The provision of advanced weaponry enabled the Juha tribe to seize control of Thorkan, the capital of the Injoli planet, establishing themselves as the dominant force. Aware of the fate that befell the once powerful Zam tribe at the hands of the Jedi Order and the Galactic Republic, the Juha tribe recognized their precarious position. They understood that having antagonized the Republic, their only recourse was to align closely with the Fourth Group, hoping for an opportunity to reclaim their former glory. Shen Yuanhao, with his usual efficiency, briefed Tang Xiao on the situation with the Injoli, which appeared to be progressing favorably. As the unrest among the Injoli people begins to wane on Coruscant, we're considering recruiting some of their warriors, he explained. I've already initiated contact with Big Boss. These warriors will be integrated into operations with tightened security, albeit discreetly. Keep the numbers low. No more than 10 Injoli warriors should be deployed at any given time. Their lack of discipline is notorious, but they can be invaluable in targeted assault missions, Tang Xiao advised. Are you utilizing the addictive substance developed by Birkin? Only in very limited quantities. I'm arranging for covert trials on some of the Injoli, Shen Yuanhao responded with precision. Monitor William Birkin closely. We cannot afford any recklessness. The fact that we're experimenting on the Injoli for biological weapons must remain confidential, Tang Xiao instructed. And by monitor, you mean? Once his project reaches completion, we'll deal with his ambitions accordingly, Tang Xiao replied, a cold smile playing on his lips as he clapped Shen Yuanhao on the shoulder before departing. He harbored lethal intentions towards William Birkin, having realized that Birkin's obsession with his work surpassed any other loyalty or concern to an almost pathological extent. Despite being provided with an ideal research environment, Birkin showed little regard for directives from higher-ups, fixated solely on advancing the G-virus to prove his worth. For Birkin, the ideal scenario involved having access to top-notch experimental facilities, teams, and funding, without being burdened by specific assignments. His passion was to pursue whatever research he desired. Thus, Tang Xiao's visit was to affirm this understanding. Given the volatile nature of the T-virus as a biological weapon, Birkin's focus on the even more unpredictable G-virus was alarming. Tang Xiao's decision mirrored that of Spencer, the head of Umbrella Corporation from the Resident Evil series, eliminate William after his research was complete. Meanwhile, in a laboratory aboard a generous-class communication frigate, William Birkin was hunched over his computer, eyes bloodshot, muttering to himself, "No, you can't halt my research. The G-virus is mine, my masterpiece. The T-virus? I didn't join this project to rehash something already perfected. I'm here to forge my legacy. I'll show you." The G-virus is the future of biological weaponry. His wife, Annette Birkin, placed a comforting hand on his shoulder, whispering, "My dear, perhaps we should also offer to develop a T-virus variant for the governor as a countermeasure against the Injoli. The database contains relevant experimental data which could appease him and secure us the freedom to continue our work on the G-virus." "No, you don't understand. Resorting to a T-virus weapon doesn't showcase our true potential at all," William Birkin exclaimed, frustration evident in his voice. "What's the point of developing it if it's just going to be discarded? Don't you see? Without the G-virus, our efforts mean nothing." In the depths of the laboratory, William Birkin was in the midst of a fervent discussion. "I haven't completed my research on this virus yet, so it's premature to classify it as a virus weapon in the database. However, the T-virus has already been developed into a systematic biological weapon," he explained, his voice tinged with frustration. Suddenly, he stood up and began to pace back and forth, his mind racing with thoughts. Tang Xiao fails to appreciate the G-virus because he's unaware of its true potential. We need to demonstrate the G-virus's real power. Once he sees it, he'll surely recognize its value. Yes, that's the key to changing his mind. "Should we continue our investment in the G-virus, then?" asked a colleague, seeking clarification. Tang Xiao only perceives the G-virus's instability, overlooking its potential for stability. The strain within Xueli is remarkably stable, a divine gift indeed. Once our research on her is complete, once it's finished— William's voice trailed off, his determination evident. "That's our daughter you're talking about, not some test subject," his colleague interjected, a note of distress in his voice. "But without the G-virus, she would have perished at birth," William retorted, his eyes reddening with emotion. "Wait, I've devised a plan. If Tang Xiao continues to underestimate me..." Meanwhile, at the Fourth Civilization boot camp, a new batch of recruits was being welcomed. "Recruits, enter! Report your numbers," the instructor commanded loudly. A group of recruits in dark blue military uniforms quickly formed a phalanx, their movements uncoordinated yet spirited. 1, 2, 3, 4, the young voices echoed in unison. "Report, sir. Recruit 101st Company. 200 people are expected, and 200 people have arrived. Please provide instructions." "Welcome to the Fourth Civilization boot camp. This is the last piece of advice I'll give you. From today onwards, you are proud soldiers of the Fourth Civilization. You will undergo 3 months of recruit training here. Upon completion, you will be assigned to units based on your performance and receive further specialized training," the instructor announced, though his words seemed to fall on deaf ears. As the recruits were being addressed, more than a dozen ghost fighter jets soared through the sky in formation. Led by an experienced pilot, the jets behind exhibited a slight unfamiliarity with the formation, a clear sign that their pilots were newly trained. Against the backdrop of the sky, the massive blue gas giant planet Endor loomed, its reflection casting a gentle light that bathed the dawn planet in an eternal spring. Huang Yehao gazed up at the sky, envy evident in his eyes. The swift trails left by the fighter jets seemed to carve through the clouds, igniting a fire within him. I must become a pilot, he resolved silently, clutching the pendant of a ghost fighter jet that hung around his neck. Suddenly, a commotion erupted among the recruits, drawing everyone's attention. "Look, the star ring! The star ring is moving!" someone shouted, pointing towards the sky. Vol 2, Chapter 445, Recruitment. "Xingwan!" Huang Yehao exclaimed, his eyes wide with surprise as he gazed into the boundless sky. Indeed, a colossal shadow was slowly moving across the horizon, covering the sun. This shadow stretched almost endlessly across the sky, forming a vast rectangle that moved gracefully through the air. It was clear that the star ring was incomplete, with its extended frame structure visible along the edges. Witnessing this engineering marvel, everyone couldn't help but express their admiration. "Which section is this? It seems smaller than the one we saw yesterday." "This is Section B, spanning more than 4,500 kilometers. I've heard it's filled with shipyards dedicated to manufacturing warships." "Exactly. A friend of mine at the United Mining Group mentioned seeing an Apocalypse-class cruiser under construction in one of the docks." "Silence!" The instructor's roar cut through the chatter, silencing the recruits. You, and you, out! Give me 50 push-ups, and you, staring at the sky and giggling, step forward." Huang Yehao, lost in his daydream of piloting a fighter jet through the star ring, didn't immediately realize the instructor was addressing him. It was only when he felt a forceful kick to his chest, sending him flying, that he snapped back to reality. "You, 100 push-ups, now! Get moving!" The instructor commanded after disciplining a few of the recruits. The rest fell silent, with only the sound of strained breathing from those doing push-ups breaking the silence. "Listen up. You are nothing but trash, scum, parasites contributing nothing to society. My job is to squeeze out whatever little value you have left. Now, stand at attention and maintain the military posture for an hour." The instructor stood with his hands behind his back, feet positioned firmly apart. As the recruits complied, the rumble of an engine approached. A siege tank with 4 tracks rolled by, carrying a few veterans who laughed at the sight of the new recruits. "Ha ha! Look, another batch of fresh meat!" The instructor, unamused, turned sharply. "Dismount immediately. Military regulations prohibit sitting on siege tanks due to their complex components. Report to your commander for punishment. Now!" The veterans, recognizing the authority in the instructor's tone, quickly scrambled off the tank and hurried away. After a grueling day of training, Huang Yehao felt as though his body was falling apart. Collapsing onto his bed in the barracks, he had no desire to move. A heavy set of footsteps approached, but Huang didn't bother to look. "Hey, Cummings, how about a massage with those big furry hands of yours?" The footsteps belonged to Cummings, a towering semi-Irish recruit over 2 meters tall. "Sorry, Huang, I'm beat, but here, have this." He handed Huang a warm bun. "I love these things. They're called buns, right? The cafeteria had plenty for us semirs, so I snagged one for you." As Cummings sat down, his weight caused the bed to creak ominously, followed by the sound of chewing. Clearly, Cummings had helped himself to more than just one bun. Huang sat up, eagerly biting into the steamed bun. Between bites, he asked, "So, why did you decide to become a soldier?" "I thought you Semir immigrants weren't required to serve in the military." Cummings shrugged. "I just couldn't stand the idea of working on the hydroponic farm anymore. Watering, fertilizing, exposing plants to ultraviolet light, day in and day out. It was mind-numbing. But honestly, life is so much better here than back on planet Semirth. I really admire my dad for having the courage to immigrate to another planet. It's a big decision, you know." Huang Yehao smiled and shared, "I'm what you'd call an embryonic person. I was raised in a family of engineers and have military service obligations. I managed to pass the physical test, but I didn't make it through the Battleship Command Academy, so I ended up here." Cummings burst into laughter. "Oh, I've heard about you guys. They say the special embryos rescued from war refugees grow up fast. You might even outgrow me in 2 years." "Ha ha! Proudly, Huang Yehao flexed his well-developed biceps. I've already got a decent physique, don't I? And it's just perfect. By the way, which division are you aiming for after training? I want to drive a tank, Cummings exclaimed with excitement. I watched their test when the siege tank was newly equipped. It's incredible. The 4 tracks unfold and lock in place, the 2 gun barrels merge, and then, boom. I love that feeling. As Cummings animatedly described his dream, bits of his bun filling scattered everywhere. What about you? He asked. Huang Yehao, picking up the Ghost Fighter pendant hanging around his neck, held it in front of him. I want to pilot this thing. I dream of flying in the sky, soaring freely. A Ghost Fighter? I asked about those. They told me Semmers can't pilot them because we're too large, Cummings said, his interest waning. His gaze then drifted towards the window, and he suddenly exclaimed, Look, the jungle troops are returning. Huang Yehao moved closer to the window and saw several APOT-33 transport planes landing in the distance. A group of soldiers clad in green Liberator combat uniforms and armed with M4 Ninja Dart submachine guns marched their way towards them. These soldiers were all Ewoks. In addition to their standard-issue weapons, they also carried various other armaments, including spears, long sticks, and even bows and arrows. Moreover, these Ewoks adorned their heads with ornaments, each carrying different items. It's quite a sight. I've heard about a jungle army composed of Ewoks, but this is my first time seeing them, Huang Yehao observed, noting the soldiers' small stature and furry appearance, yet they exuded a strong aura of menace. I always thought Ewoks were relegated to logistics. Huang Yehao expressed his surprise. Judging by their gear, where could they have been deployed? Cummings, with a hearty slap on Huang Yehao's shoulder, said, Wild survival training. I've heard we'll undergo something similar in the future. They'll send us to a dangerous planet, and we'll have to survive at least a week in a beast-filled wilderness. If you're aiming to be a pilot, you'll have to conquer this challenge first. Ha ha! Vol 2, Chapter 446, Hell Difficulty. As Huang Yehao surveyed the formidable jungle army before him, a surge of pride swelled in his heart. The Ewok's allegiance was a testament to the powerful civilization and cultural cohesion of the Fourth Civilization. Since the arrival of the Fourth Civilization on the Dawn planet, the Ewoks demonstrated remarkable adaptability. Initially apprehensive, their attitudes shifted under Tang Xiao's guidance. The Fourth Civilization's residents extended their kindness, encouraging the Ewoks to engage with them. The relationship began with simple bartering. The Ewoks exchanged fruits and hunted animals for staples like potatoes from the Fourth Civilization. Gradually, the variety of exchanged goods expanded to include clothing and other items. The Ewoks then started to work as guides for the Fourth Civilization's expeditions, developing an interest in exotic items such as music players and holographic projections. Eventually, they learned the official language of the Fourth Civilization and the standard galactic language, taking on more complex jobs in the cities, ranging from logistics to construction. Over the years, the Ewok tribes that first interacted with the Fourth Civilization began integrating into civilized society. They communicated freely with its inhabitants and started acquiring advanced knowledge. Most heartening was their openness to enrolling their children in the schools of the Fourth Civilization, promising a significant leap in the Ewok's civilization when these children matured. The harmonious relationship between the Ewoks and the Fourth Civilization was largely due to the latter's advanced development model. With technologies like nuclear fusion and interstellar flight, the Fourth Civilization had a high starting point. Industries potentially harmful to the environment were relocated to outer space, ensuring the preservation of Dawn Planet's ecosystem. This commitment to environmental protection played a crucial role in the Ewoks' willingness to engage with the Fourth Civilization. The Ewoks' jungle troops became a significant symbol of their integration into the Fourth Civilization's system. Currently, the Ewok population within the Fourth Civilization exceeded 1.6 million, accounting for more than half of the planet's Ewok population. 2 months into their service, the soldiers of Huang Yehao's Recruit 131 company had grown close, referring to each other as siblings. They had adapted to the rigorous training regime, showing improvements in physical fitness and combat discipline. Mornings were dedicated to grueling physical training in the jungle, where Ewok hunters occasionally observed and offered freshly hunted game to enhance the soldiers' meals. Afternoons were reserved for cultural and political ideology classes, followed by demanding cross-country training and laps around the playground. On their rare days off, the soldiers bonded over movies or live concerts. Debates over the beauty of Angelina Scarlett versus Monica Olson were common, though there was unanimous agreement on Aria Isabella's undisputed status as a superstar in the music scene on Dawn and her significant influence across the galaxy. The intense training forged the recruits into resilient soldiers, a stark transformation from their initial disarray. Now they stood united, ready to face the challenges ahead. The Iron Army, renowned for its formidable strength, was still in the process of refinement. General Xian Hui, the Army's commander-in-chief, alongside Lieutenant Cheng Shitao, the deputy commander, made frequent visits to the barracks to oversee the training of the new recruits. On a day designated for rest, Huang Yehao burst into the barracks with excitement, announcing, "Ha ha! Brothers, I bring great news. Our field training commences in 3 days and will span 2 weeks. After that, we'll have some days off before we're assigned to our respective units." The other soldiers, weary from their rigorous training, responded with less enthusiasm. "What's so great about that?" they muttered. "You're missing the point," Huang Yehao exclaimed. Alia Isabella is performing at the Grand Theater in Coruscant. This is her first appearance on the galaxy's most prestigious stage. This revelation sparked immediate interest among several soldiers. "That's perfect timing. We'll finish our field training just in time for the concert," they realized, sharing in Huang Yahao's excitement. "The 132nd Company won't be as lucky. Their training starts 2 days after ours. They'll miss the concert entirely," Huang Yehao added, unable to hide his glee. Noticing Cummings, a Semith, engrossed in writing something by his bed, Huang Yehao approached him and asked, "What are you doing? Don't you care about the concert?" "Alia may be famous, but without shiny fur or 3 large, beautiful nostrils, I fail to see her appeal," Cummings replied, his interest clearly elsewhere. Curious, Huang Yehao seized the opportunity to snatch the letter Cummings was writing. "Dear Shonda, it's been 2.5 months since we last met, and my longing for you has only deepened. I still remember the softness of your golden fur. The Dawn planet is prosperous, peaceful, and secure. I hope you can join me here soon so that we can." Before he could finish, Cummings grabbed Huang Yehao and with remarkable strength hurled him out of the barracks window, quickly swallowing the letter to prevent further prying. "Incredible! You ate the letter just to keep us from reading it," Huang Yehao exclaimed from outside. "Leave me be. When training ends and I can travel between the stars, I'll tell Shonda myself. She's far more beautiful than your Alia." "You've never seen nostrils as magnificent as hers," Cummings retorted, clearly smitten. The next day, all the recruits assembled, totaling 2,000 across 10 companies. General Xian Hui addressed them personally, delivering a stirring speech before unveiling a terminal that projected holographic images of various planets. These were the potential locations for their field training. "Company 128, Jakku Planet," he announced, followed by Company 129, Planet Maratha, and so on, until he reached Company 131, Planet Injoli. Upon hearing Planet Injoli, Huang Yehao felt a sense of dread. Known for its perilous environment and home to terrifying beasts, Injoli was infamous across the galaxy. Even the Injoli warriors, celebrated as the galaxy's fiercest, struggled to thrive there due to the harsh conditions. "Congratulations on being assigned the Hell difficulty level. Company 132 will join you. Try to survive, boys," General Xian Hui concluded, setting the stage for a training exercise that would test their limits like never before. Huang Yehao had learned of the daunting statistics associated with the field training on the planet Injoli. It was said that after completing the rigorous training there, the attrition rate soared to an alarming 15%. To put it into perspective, this meant that out of every 200 recruits, 30 would not return. Such a high casualty rate for mere training was unheard of, leading to the implementation of stricter regulations. Henceforth, any team assigned to Injoli was required to consist of at least 2 companies, ensuring a blend of both power and support to increase the chances of survival. The atmosphere was tense as whispers filled the air, with members of the 132nd Company casting resentful glances towards their counterparts in the 131st Company. It was clear they felt their unfortunate draw was a direct result of being paired with them. Amidst the murmurs and the process of drawing lots and setting departure dates, Huang Yahao found himself distracted, his attention drawn to Cummings. The look of utter despair on Cummings' face was palpable. The daunting prospect of training on Injoli weighed heavily on him, stirring fears that he might never see his girlfriend again. Amidst the growing unease, their instructor stepped forward, his voice cutting through the chatter like a knife. "Silence, everyone! Stand up straight," he commanded. His tone was authoritative, yet it carried an undercurrent of unwavering confidence. "What of planet Injoli?" he continued, his words ringing out clear and strong. "Once we return from training there, we will be unmatched. No one in the entire galaxy will be able to stand against us." His words, meant to inspire, hung in the air. The instructor's confidence was infectious, and slowly, a sense of resolve began to take root among the recruits. The daunting challenge of Injoli was not just a test of survival. It was an opportunity to become the best. Vol 2, Chapter 447, The Dead City. A white light flickered, and a Homeland-class aircraft carrier, converted from a Predator-class heavy supply ship, emerged from hyperspace under the escort of two Vengeance-class light destroyers. It arrived in the outer space of the planet Injoli. The doors of the Homeland-class aircraft carrier opened, and an APOD 33 transport plane took off from the platform. It was loaded with the recruits of the 131st and 132nd Companies and descended towards the planet Injoli. The Fourth Civilization had established several outposts on the planet Injoli. These outposts were strategically placed near some towns and villages, but maintained a safe distance due to the tense relationship between the Injoli inhabitants and the Fourth Civilization. The aggressive nature of the Injoli made it impractical to set up outposts within their cities. The outpost facilities were rudimentary, consisting of a basic apron, some maintenance equipment, and weapons and ammunition. Emergency communication facilities were buried underground to prevent theft by the local Injoli populace. The 400 recruits from the two companies were divided into two groups. The instructor delivered a brief speech. "Listen up. We're heading to a place called Masao City for a short rest before we embark on a 2-week training exercise in the desert. The transport ship has dropped supplies in a predetermined area. You'll see it again in 2 weeks. However, obtaining these supplies won't be easy. You'll have to contend with creatures that even the Injoli dare not provoke." Observing the mix of eagerness and fear on the recruits' faces, the instructor added, "Another crucial point. The Injoli are extremely aggressive and unreasonable. It's best to avoid conflicts with them to prevent unnecessary trouble. Although I've dealt with them before, exceptions can occur. Now, let's move out." Masao City was 20 kilometers from the outpost. The 400 recruits trudged through the wind and sand, maintaining a high-intensity march. After 2 hours, they arrived at the outskirts of the city. However, they were greeted by darkness. The entire town seemed deserted and lifeless. Sensing something amiss, the instructor raised his fist to halt the march. "The situation doesn't look right. Notify all units to disperse immediately and enter combat readiness." The soldiers quickly spread out, taking positions in squads, seeking cover, and preparing for engagement. "Deploy the UAV," the instructor commanded, a privilege reserved for him during this training exercise. A soldier carrying a large box promptly opened it and activated the terminal. More than a dozen spherical drones buzzed out, heading towards the town. Through the drone feed, the instructor observed the town's chaotic state. Many buildings and vehicles were destroyed, bloodstains smeared the ground, and there were evident claw marks. "Sir, it appears the town was attacked by a beast," reported a soldier. Faced with an unexpected situation, the instructor pondered their next move. Halting the training would deem all recruits unqualified, rendering their 3 months of effort futile. Yet, continuing the training amidst this unforeseen event posed its own risks. After a moment of deliberation, he made his decision, connecting to the communication network with a stern voice. "Masao City has been attacked, and it lies in eerie silence, likely without any survivors. This scenario is unprecedented in our recruit training. However, on the battlefield, there are no ifs, no assumptions, and nothing is ready. Our fourth civilization has no soldiers who retreat. Upon hearing the communication, Huang Yehao nodded with determination and prepared to enter the battlefield. The notion that everything was always planned was a fallacy. If they were to retreat now due to an unforeseen incident, they would lose their right to call themselves soldiers. Soldiers do not retreat. Company 132, stand guard and dispatch scouts. Company 131, move out immediately and flank to the east of the city. The instructor commanded. Huang Yehao, along with the 131st Company, sprang into action, making their way towards the eastern part of the city. The journey was eerily silent, with only the sound of their footsteps breaking the quiet. Not even the wildlife made a sound. Masangao City, chosen as one of the training locations, was a remote town. Its silence was oppressive, and the darkness that fell seemed to swallow everything, sending shivers down the spine. The soldiers, moving in squads, had the person leading each unit turn on their combat uniform's headlight to pierce the darkness ahead. Meanwhile, the 132nd Company dispatched 2 scout teams, each consisting of 10 men, to enter the town from different directions. The town remained eerily quiet, but the sight of blood on the roads unnerved the recruits. "Look at this," a member of one of the scout teams exclaimed, pointing to the ground. The others gathered around to find a long trail of blood, as if something had been dragged, with 2 rows of 3-fingered handprints beside it. "These are Injoli handprints," a soldier observed, "and there are no drag marks from feet. It looks as if his lower body was severed, and he dragged himself by his hands, leaving these marks from crawling." "But where did his lower body go?" another soldier pondered aloud. The recruits, only 3 months into their training, were visibly shaken by the scene. They followed the trail of blood to a dilapidated house, exchanging nervous glances before deciding to investigate. "Let's check it out. Group 2, cover us." "Understood." The leader of Group 2 signaled, and his team spread out in a fan shape around the house. Group 1, composed of 10 soldiers, approached the house with weapons ready. The blood trail led inside, where more blood was visible on the floor. The group's captain signaled for them to split into 3 teams and counted down with 3 fingers. 3, 2, 1. With a forceful kick, he opened the door. Instantly, a tentacle shot out, striking the captain's helmet with lightning speed. It opened into a large, petal-like mouth, engulfing his helmet. "What is that? What is that?" the captain screamed in terror, firing his M8 Avenger assault rifle wildly. The tentacle, while not penetrating his helmet, dragged him towards the house. "Monster! It's a monster!" The others saw the source of the tentacles. It was the upper body of an Injoli man, grotesquely mutated with swollen tissues and a huge eye on its back. The tentacles emerged from where the spine should have been. "Quick! Kill it! Shoot!" In a panic, the recruits opened fire on the monster. The sound of gunfire echoed through the town, piercing the silence and seemingly awakening something in the darkness. Rumbling sounds and low roars began to emerge, hinting at the presence of more horrors lurking in the shadows. In the enveloping darkness, a menacing shadow emerged from the ground, creeping out from the corner. It let out a terrifying roar and charged forward, drawn by the sound. Volume 2, Chapter 448, The Direst Circumstance. The M8 Avenger assault rifle's muzzle flashed with bursts of electric light as countless bullets were unleashed at a velocity exceeding 4,000 meters per second. The half-corpse of the Injoli was riddled with bullets, oozing blood as it let out a ferocious roar. With its mutated claws, it scurried forward, intent on attacking the soldiers. The captain, overwhelmed by panic, fired the assault rifle wildly. Eventually, the Injoli's half-corpse ceased moving, and the tentacle that had latched onto the captain's helmet slackened. Hastily, the captain removed the tentacles, only to find his helmet smeared with mucus. Attempting to wipe it off only smeared it further, obscuring his vision. In frustration, he removed his helmet. In that split second, another tentacle shot out like lightning, piercing through the back of the captain's head and exiting through his mouth, splattering blood and brain matter. The captain's body was suspended by the tentacle, twitching as his nerves were activated post-mortem. "It's not dead," a soldier yelled, firing at the nearly disintegrated corpse of the Injoli. Meanwhile, the two groups stationed at the perimeter also seemed to have encountered the enemy, as the sound of gunfire intensified. "Help! Help! We're under attack! There are monsters!" The sound of gunfire served as a distress signal. The company commander of the 132nd Company, stationed at the perimeter, heard the chaos and immediately ordered communication with the reconnaissance team. The fragmented reports mentioned monsters. With a grave expression, the company commander ordered, "Immediately send a communication to headquarters and report our situation. Platoons 1, 2, and 3 move out immediately for a rescue operation." The recruit company of the Fourth Civilization was a large unit, consisting of 4 platoons, each with 50 soldiers. Having already dispatched 2 teams from the first platoon for reconnaissance, he now sent out 130 soldiers, essentially the company's main force. However, the city of Masao had already been stirred into chaos. In the darkness, countless monsters emerged from the shadows, driven by their hunger for flesh and blood. As the 132 soldiers entered the town, they were met by an overwhelming number of monsters. "Look, it's an Injoli!" the soldiers exclaimed under the glare of their headlights. Despite their grotesque mutations and disfigured bodies, the Injoli, driven by a primal urge, charged towards the soldiers. "Fire a warning shot! Issue a warning! Let's avoid a diplomatic incident," the company commander of the 132nd Company commanded, adhering strictly to military protocol. Several soldiers fired a volley of bullets at the ground near the Injoli, and one shouted, "Halt! Identify yourselves!" Instead of stopping, the monsters roared in defiance and surged forward, undeterred by the hail of bullets. Simultaneously, the 131st Company, led by Huang Yahao, also heard the gunfire. "Be cautious! Gunshots at 7 o'clock, Huang Yahao warned. The instructors of the 131st Company, seasoned and experienced, immediately ordered, "All personnel, halt! Establish defensive positions, then retreat slowly to regroup with the 132nd Company." Huang Yahao's second row swiftly took up defensive positions. Cummings, a formidable Scythian, hoisted the wreckage of a hover car and hurled it into the intersection ahead, creating a barricade. He then manned a 6-barrel machine gun, unleashing a barrage of bullets from behind the makeshift cover, ready to confront the oncoming threat. The cacophony of 6-barreled machine guns erupted, unleashing thousands of bullets in mere moments, creating a formidable barrage. In the enveloping darkness, hordes of monstrous creatures surged forward, layers upon layers of them, undeterred by the gunfire, driven by an insatiable hunger for the flesh and blood before them. Tang Xiao received the distressing news 10 minutes after the initial contact with the enemy. "Lord Governor, the recruits in the Injoli Galaxy, currently engaged in live combat training, have encountered a critical situation." Lieutenant General Cheng Shitao, visibly anxious, reported the situation during the communication. "Elaborate," Tang Xiao demanded. "The transmissions from the front line are heavily disrupted, but it's confirmed they were ambushed in Masangao City. The reports mention monsters that seem invulnerable," Cheng Shitao explained. This alarming development caught the attention of Chief of Staff Qi Jian, who promptly relayed the information to Tang Xiao. "Monsters, that can't be killed," Tang Xiao mused, concerned by the scant details. "Could this be related to the T-virus?" he speculated, frowning. "Should we dispatch a fleet?" "Matt Horner's Fleet A is currently on standby at the Planet of Dawn," Qi Jian suggested. "Announce to the entire Injoli planet that we suspect a conspiracy in their midst? Without any word from the Injoli people themselves, it means they're unaware. We must keep it that way." Tang Xiao decisively instructed, "Get me Turulan! Right away." "Sir, what do you need?" Turulan's deep, authoritative voice came through the communication. "How many from the Fourth Army are available?" Tang Xiao inquired without preamble. "The Fourth Legion's first batch of 100 soldiers has completed basic training and is ready to depart for the planet Hypori for their final trial," Turulan reported. "Redirect their final trial to the Injoli system. They are to depart immediately," Tang Xiao ordered. "Understood." Turulan didn't question the order, but immediately agreed to execute it. Tang Xiao then turned to Qi Jian. "What forces do we currently have on planet Injoli?" "We have the Generosity-class frigate under William Birkin and the 131st and 132nd companies of recruits in position. Shen Yuanhao is in Thor Kayan, the capital of Injoli, commanding approximately 500 combatants, Qijian detailed. William Birkin is no longer reliable. It seems he's concealed the progress of his experiments, Tang Xiao mused, stroking his chin. Immediately instruct the governor of the Kuna cluster, Volgograd Kanedi, to dispatch 2 Lukhook cargo ships to the Injoli system and sever all external communications. Understood. And the current capacity of the Golden Nice shipyard? Tang Xiao continued. About 700 Marines are dispersed across the mining area, along with 3 Higra-class battlecruisers, Qijian responded. Tang Xiao's expression darkened. Prepare the Higra-class battlecruisers. If the Fourth Army fails to contain the situation, we'll have to resort to orbital bombardment of the Injoli galaxy. We must obliterate all evidence. The Injoli's use for biological weapon experimentation must remain a secret. Vol 2, Chapter 449, Resident Evil. The situation on planet Injoli was becoming increasingly dire. Qijian appeared somewhat embarrassed as he discussed the matter. Tang Xiao, however, was quick to strategize. Let Shen Yuanhao's team hold their position. Have him try to stabilize the Injoli populace. Immediately notify the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to engage with the Injoli representatives. And get Francis Underwood to stir up a commotion in Parliament. We don't need to do much, just enough to show our displeasure with the Injoli, laying the groundwork for a potential orbital strike on their planet if necessary. As for recruits 131 and 132 currently engaged with the enemy on Injoli, instruct them to contain those monsters at all costs. The priority is to prevent the spread. If needed, they should draw the monsters to themselves. Meanwhile, we'll discreetly send reinforcements. And as for William Birkin, I'll handle him personally. Understood. I'll see to it immediately. Qijian saluted before departing to execute the orders. Tang Xiao left his office, pondering the situation. After a moment, he called Adra Caddis, and together, they piloted the Sith infiltrator to the Injori galaxy. On planet Injoli, within the city of Masao, the sound of gunfire was relentless. In the city's south and east, where companies 132 and 131 were positioned, a fierce battle raged against an onslaught of Injoli zombies. These creatures, already formidable due to their size and strength, had undergone grotesque mutations, making them even more terrifying adversaries. A soldier was violently thrown against a wall by one of the mutated zombies, his blood painting the scene of chaos. Hold the line! Keep them back! The instructor's commands echoed, but they seemed almost futile against the horde. The Injoli, towering over 2.4 meters tall, had become even larger and more muscular due to the mutations. Infected by the virus, they were now bloodthirsty and relentless, impervious to bullets, and charging forward with a terrifying ferocity. Even headshots, which would typically be fatal, barely slowed them down due to their rapid regeneration. As the horde advanced, Company 131, led by Huang Yehao, was quickly overwhelmed. Their training had not prepared them for this level of threat, and they lacked the heavy weaponry needed to stand a chance against these monstrous foes. Help! Help! A soldier's plea was cut short as a zombie bit off his head in a gruesome attack. The instructor, checking his communicator, found a stark command: stop the spread of monsters at all costs. He surveyed the darkened city, then the retreating soldiers, and made a decisive call. First unit, stop retreating, break into the city, use the terrain to our advantage. Sir, if we enter the city, a platoon leader objected, sensing a suicide mission. If we retreat into the open, we'll be sitting ducks. The city is our only chance, the instructor countered, not revealing the full gravity of their orders, but not entirely misleading them either. With the command given, the platoon leader rallied his troops. Third platoon, follow me. We'll flank from the 11 o'clock direction, aiming for the 5-story building ahead. First row, take the residential area to our right at 9 o'clock. Second row, fortify your positions here. Huang Yehao and Cummings, leading the first row, unleashed a barrage of fire, taking down several zombies as they made a desperate charge into the city. Charge! Huang Yehao's eyes blazed with determination as he led his men into the fray, knowing full well the stakes of their mission. Huang Yehao unleashed the full power of his M8 Avenger assault rifle, emptying the magazine into an advancing Injori zombie. In the midst of the chaos, he felt a large, furry hand grab him and yank him to the side. Almost simultaneously, the ground shook as another Injori zombie leaped from the wreckage of a car, landing precisely where Huang had stood moments before. "Let's go this way," Cummings shouted, pointing in a new direct eye on. "But the main force is over there," Huang Yahao protested, eyeing the direction Cummings had indicated. "We'll take a shortcut," Cummings bellowed, charging forward. He used his considerable bulk to force open the door of a nearby house. "Inside now!" Huang glanced back at the battlefield, where the fight was intensifying. Initially, they had managed to hold their ground, albeit with some difficulty. Now, as they were forced to change direction and push forward, the dynamics shifted dramatically. Soldiers were being overwhelmed by the Injori zombies, falling only to be mercilessly torn apart. Despite the mounting casualties, they pressed on. With determination, Huang followed Cummings into the house. No sooner had they entered than several Injori zombies crashed against the walls, attempting to follow them inside. The sturdy Injori furniture became a temporary barricade, slowing the zombies' advance. Realizing the strategic advantage, more soldiers began to take refuge in the house, though this meant they were effectively cut off from reinforcements and faced a dire situation. Meanwhile, in the Injori galaxy, the Sith infiltrator Red Comet made its return, docking with the communication frigate orbiting a satellite. Tang Xiao immediately established a communication link with the captain. "Captain, I instructed you to apprehend William Birkin. What's the current situation?" Tang Xiao inquired, his tone icy. "He's barricaded himself and his wife in their quarters, threatening to release the G-virus if we attempt to breach," the captain reported, anxiety evident in his voice. "It seems he's desperate. Let's see what he has to say," Tang Xiao remarked with a sneer, making his way to the Birkin's location. He was met by a contingent of B-1 battle droids, standing guard outside the Birkin's cabin. "Open the door," Tang Xiao commanded calmly. "Roger, Roger." The lead B-1 battle droid complied, swinging the door open to reveal William Birkin and his wife, Annette. William held Annette close with one arm, the other clutching a spiral-shaped test tube, his face pale with fear. "Don't come any closer," William shouted. "Shouldn't you offer some explanation, William?" Tang Xiao asked, his demeanor unflappable. "There's nothing to explain. The events in Mesangao City speak volumes. The G-virus is a superior biological weapon to the T-virus. You have no right to halt my research," William retorted vehemently. "I believe the initial agreement was clear. We required a batch of biological weapons ready for immediate deployment, not a prolonged research project," Tang Xiao responded, his patience waning. "No, you're merely exploiting me. My talents are far greater than you acknowledge." William's face twisted with anger and desperation. "Kill him," Tang Xiao ordered, turning to Adela without a hint of hesitation. Volume 2, Chapter 450, Retribution. "Kill?" Adela Caddis hesitated, her gaze fixed on William Birkin, who returned her look with a defiant glare. Seizing the moment of hesitation, William's wife, Annette Birkin, pleaded urgently, "Lord Governor, please hear me out. Give us another chance. William's insistence on the G-virus isn't without reason." Tang Xiao responded with a cold smile, remaining silent, yet he made no move to prompt Adela to act. "Lord Governor, the G-virus indeed creates a more formidable biological weapon than the T-virus. While the T-virus requires cultivation from an embryo, the G-virus can immediately begin to develop and grow upon finding a suitable host. Furthermore, its capacity for continuous mutation and evolution in response to environmental factors far exceeds that of the T-virus. William believes that the G-virus represents the future of weaponry for our fourth civilization." Annette explained fervently, "Only the G-virus is the future. If you expect me to create T-virus weapons from blueprints, you're mistaken. That would be an insult to my capabilities," William Birkin declared stubbornly. "And yet, are you capable of controlling the G-virus-infected creatures rampaging through Masangao City?" Tang Xiao countered. "We will address this issue as swiftly as possible." Annette's voice faltered. "How long do you expect me to wait?" Tang Xiao pressed. Annette struggled to respond, prompting Tang Xiao to continue. "The chaotic mutation and evolution of the G-virus are precisely why it's uncontrollable. Its greatest strength is also its greatest weakness. You're faced with a choice. Either render it mediocre or accept that it cannot be both powerful and controllable. That's exactly the challenge I aim to overcome. This is the stage where I should shine, William Birkin exclaimed passionately. So, you expect our entire fourth civilization to construct this stage for you without any guarantee of success? Is that why you unleashed the G-Virus in Masao City to demonstrate its superiority over our soldiers and the Injuris? Did you also convince the captain to conduct electronic interference over Masangao City to ensure the G-Virus had ample time to evolve? Tang Xiao asked, his smile turning sinister. It's because of your stubbornness, William retorted. Even if your actions risk exposing us, potentially making the entire fourth civilization face hostility and a blockade from the galaxy, possibly even precipitating a war? Tang Xiao's smile vanished, replaced by a stern expression. Adela, kill him. With a swift motion, the red lightsaber extended from the metal hilt in Adela's hand, yet she hesitated. He's responsible for the deaths of over 3,000 Injoli residents in Masangao City, and still you contemplate sparing him? Look at me. Tang Xiao commanded, his gaze piercing. Adela trembled under his stare. Is this the way of the Jedi Knight, to refrain from killing, even if the person is a sinner? Kill him, or would you rather die in his place? I assure you, sparing him will only lead to more deaths. Lord Governor, please, have mercy. Annette Birkin fell to her knees, her cries filled with despair. I don't, Adela began, her resolve hardening. Kill him. I won't let you win. If it comes to it, we'll all perish together. William Birkin roared, attempting to crush a spiral test tube filled with the G-Virus. However, he found his hand immobilized by an unseen force. Adela clenched her teeth, her expression a mix of sorrow and determination. Raising her other hand, she effortlessly controlled William's hand with the force. You are beyond redemption, she declared. The crimson lightsaber pierced William Birkin's chest in an instant. No! Annette's whimper filled the air, a sound of pure agony. However, Tang Xiao's chilling voice soon followed. Kill Annette! Strangle her! Adela's eyes reddened, a storm of emotion swirling within her as she faced the next grim decision. Her mind was in turmoil, but she reached out and clasped Annette's delicate neck with a force that immediately caused Annette's eyes to roll back, her struggles leaving scratches on Idra's arm to no avail. Kill her. This is the path you must take. Tang Xiao's voice echoed ominously, like a whisper from the abyss. Idra's scream tore through the silence, her grip tightening further. Annette Birkin's struggles gradually weakened until they ceased entirely. Tang Xiao's laughter boomed. Well done, Adela. Well done. You've experienced the thrill of taking a life. Annette was innocent, yet you still ended her life. No. Adela Caddis collapsed to the ground, her forehead hitting the floor with a repetitive thud. No, 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 no! But I can offer you redemption. I can bring Annette back to life and allow you to atone for your sin. However, you must prove your worth to me, Tang Xiao said, his laughter chilling. Adela Caddis stood, her movements slow as she began to disrobe, believing her body to be her only remaining value. Once fully undressed, she knelt before Tang Xiao. Bang! Tang Xiao's kick sent her sprawling. You think that's what I value? I have no interest in your body. Now, dress yourself, head to Masao City, and eliminate all monsters there. That includes any Injori who witnessed what happened. Annette Birkin's eyes snapped open to find herself still in the cabin, with William Birkin's body beside her. Tang Xiao loomed ominously, but Adela was nowhere to be seen. I am, she began. You died, and then I resurrected you, Tang Xiao stated flatly. You can do that? Yes, life and death are mere tools to me. So if you wish to see your husband alive again, you'll serve me without question, Tang Xiao declared. Annette rose, kneeling before him. I will serve you wholeheartedly. I will never falter. Tang Xiao waved his hand, and a life-preserving force enveloped William's body, halting its decay. Spend the next 3 days here, contemplating how you will serve me. After that, we will talk. He then turned to leave, instructing the B-1 combat robot at the door, seal the hatch and cut the cabin's power. Reopen it in 3 days. Roger, Roger. A Lucre Hook-class cargo ship emerged from hyperspace, arriving in the Injoli galaxy. Immediately, it activated a powerful electronic jamming system, severing all communications. Then, 2 transport ships launched from its hangar, silently making their way toward the planet Injoli. Inside one transport, a group of burly soldiers sat in silence, their presence imposing. Dressed in black Liberator combat uniforms with alloy armor and armed with specialized weapons, their aura of lethality was palpable. Their eyes, cold and intimidating, could quell any opposition with a mere glance. Terulan stood before them, his voice strong and steady. Our mission is to secure the city of Masao, rescue any allied forces, and eliminate all other life forms. Silence followed his command, but the soldiers' actions spoke volumes. In unison, they donned their helmets and lowered their masks. Emblazoned on each helmet in stark white letters were the digits. Fourth, Volume 2, Chapter 451. Breakthrough. Huang Yahao and Cummings moved cautiously through the enveloping darkness, their surroundings intermittently pierced by the sound of distant gunfire. The shots were scattered, echoing the chaos that had overtaken the area. From the moment their instructor had ordered a counterattack against the overwhelming tide of Injoli zombies, with the aim of penetrating the city's defenses, their fate had seemed sealed. Their firepower and combat proficiency were simply not up to the task. While regrouping to concentrate their firepower and retreat might have offered a slim chance of survival, attempting to confront the Injoli zombies, monstrosities nearly 3 meters tall, was tantamount to suicide. Indeed, the instructor's command had been a death sentence, designed to draw the zombies' attention and prevent them from dispersing and spreading the virus further. It appeared that the 132nd Company had received a similar directive. Initially, the 400 recruits from the 131st and 132nd Companies had made some headway in their counterattack. However, as more Injoli zombies swarmed in, the recruits were quickly overwhelmed. Those not torn apart by the relentless undead sought refuge in the buildings, hoping to survive by leveraging the complex terrain. Huang Yahao and Cummings had planned to cut through a house to reach their objective, but were forced to take cover in a residential building when they encountered a street swarming with hundreds of Injoli zombies. After a while, with no sign of reinforcements or any progress, they realized the grim truth of their situation. How could this be? How many of these monsters are there? Huang Yahao whispered fiercely, frustration evident in his voice. It's over. No one's coming for us. We're trapped, Cummings said, resigning himself to their fate as he began to eat a compressed biscuit. No, something doesn't add up, Huang Yahao suddenly said, a spark of realization in his eyes. Think about it. If we were to face these monsters one-on-one, could we defeat them? Cummings shook his head. Impossible. These monsters seem impervious to bullets and possess incredible strength. They're clearly the result of transforming Injoli, known as the galaxy's fiercest warriors. That's exactly the point. We're outnumbered and outgunned, so why would the instructor send us into a town overrun by these creatures? Huang Yahao mused, his mind racing. You mean, the instructor deliberately sent us to our deaths? But why? Cummings asked, the biscuit falling from his hand in shock. Huang Yahao tapped his helmet thoughtfully. The instructor's objective was to capture a building deep within the town, and given our encounter with the enemy, it's clear that this was a last-minute decision. This route is infested with monsters, making a direct attack impossible. Moreover, these creatures use sound to locate us and are particularly sensitive to gunfire, so the instructor's plan was to use our gunfire to attract the monsters and keep them concentrated around us. And then, what, blow them up? Cummings inquired, trying to follow Huang's line of thought. If that were the plan, it would have happened by now. And if so, air support would have been called in at the first sign of trouble. They wouldn't have left us to die without a fight. The fact that no planes have arrived suggests that the Injoli pose no threat to our air power. So what's the real plan? Huang Yahao pondered aloud. Why bother thinking about it? We're either going to die here or wait for reinforcements, Cummings said, attempting to return to his biscuit. Wait, Huang Yahao exclaimed, knocking the biscuit from Cummings's hand. What are you doing? Cummings asked, startled by his companion's sudden intensity. You can still eat now. Didn't you realize that those monsters were created by Injoris? Huang Yahao exclaimed, his voice tinged with urgency. So what? Cummings replied, his tone nonchalant, not fully grasping the gravity of the situation. Huang Yahao shook his head, trying to make Cummings' understand. Look at those Injoris monsters. This is clearly a virus outbreak. Remember that zombie movie we watched? It's similar to this scenario. I haven't seen it, Cummings admitted, looking puzzled. All right, let's focus on surviving first. There's definitely a viral infection here. We've been breathing the air, and we're fine, which means it's not airborne. The most likely modes of transmission are through direct contact or contaminated food. The compressed biscuits are safe since they're sealed, but if they fall on the ground and you pick them up to eat, that's a different story, Huang Yehao explained. Hearing this, Cummings, alarmed, quickly kicked the compressed biscuits away. Then what should we do? We can't stay here for long. Using suicide attacks to draw the monster's attention won't work forever. Once we're dead, the monsters will just roam aimlessly. The instructors or the higher-ups must know about this situation. They'll take action before we're all gone. It's very likely they'll resort to orbital bombing. Orbital bombing. We need to get out of here, Cummings exclaimed, finally grasping the severity of their predicament. First, let's check our equipment. I have 1 grenade and 4 thermal magazines left. What about you? Huang Yehao asked, trying to devise a plan. Cummings placed his combat backpack on the ground, spilling its contents to count. Let's see. 17 thermal magazines, 8 grenades, 5 compressed biscuits, and 5 water bottles. Huang Yehao was surprised. Wait, didn't the instructor give you a 6-barrel machine gun for being the fireman? You were carrying that and all this gear? Haha, I'm from Semmers. I'm naturally strong, Cummings replied with a proud smile. Great, then we have a better chance. I have a plan, Huang Yehao said, pointing to a small square more than 200 meters away. With your strength, can you throw a grenade that far? No problem, Cummings replied confidently. After redistributing some of their ammunition, he took a grenade, weighed it in his large hand, and threw it with a swift motion. The grenade soared through the air, landing 200 meters away before exploding with a loud bang. The nearby Immerse zombies roared and swarmed towards the explosion. Now's our chance. Go! Huang Yehao urged, and the two dashed out of the house, using the distraction to make their escape. They ran until Huang Yehao pointed to an alley. Throw another one there. Without hesitation, Cummings threw another grenade, drawing the zombies away once more. But as they were about to cut through a house, a massive Injoli zombie burst out, its tentacles shooting out and ensnaring Cummings. Cummings! Huang Yehao shouted, charging forward and firing at the zombie with his gun. The bullets tore through the creature, but it wasn't enough to bring it down. Go away, Huang! I can handle this! Cummings yelled, managing to throw a grenade directly into the zombie's gaping maw. But before the grenade could detonate, a sudden gust of wind blew it away. Then, in a flash of crimson light, the zombie was cleaved in two. When I get home from work, I'll find you a picture of the Semmers. Vol 2, Chapter 452, The Fourth Legion. In a moment of disbelief, Huang Yehao and Cummings watched as the zombie, which had resisted hundreds of their bullets, was effortlessly cleaved in two by a single stroke of red light. The creature's body thudded to the ground, revealing a Twi'lek woman standing behind it, lightsaber in hand. Her skin was a pale blue, almost purple under the glow of her scarlet blade. Her features were delicate and beautiful, accentuated by the tight combat uniform and flowing cloak she wore. What stood out most, however, was the crystal emitting a soft white light, set into her chest and encased by a spider-shaped device. Are you a Jedi? Cummings, more familiar with such matters, inquired immediately. Idra Caddis, the Twi'lek woman, regarded them with a distant gaze. The title of Jedi Knight felt both foreign and nostalgic to her. Embracing the role of a Jedi Knight, slaying monsters, and rescuing allies was a dream she had long harbored. Now, her spirits lifted, filled with renewed hope and purpose. Stay here and don't wander off, Idra instructed firmly. We need to leave this place and head outside the city. There's a virus outbreak, and I fear it might lead to a bombing, Huang Yehao explained, his brow furrowed. Remaining here seemed like a death sentence, especially with the nearby Injoli zombies now on high alert. Despite Huang Yehao's skepticism towards the Twi'lek, who claimed to be a Jedi Knight, Idra reassured them with a smile, unaware of the doubt in their minds. There might be others trapped here. We should try to save them, Huang Yehao urged. Don't worry, I'll handle it. Everyone will be safe because I am a Jedi Knight, Idra declared, her smile taking on a slightly unsettling edge. Without another word, she leaped onto the balcony of a nearby two-story building and swiftly disappeared from sight. "Let's go," Huang Yehao said to Cummings, deciding to ignore Idra's advice to stay put. "But she told us to wait," Cummings hesitated. "It's a death trap here. We need to move," Huang Yehao insisted, pointing in the opposite direction from where ominous roars could be heard. Understanding the urgency, Cummings quickly followed, and Huang Yehao threw a grenade to cover their escape. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, 100 soldiers from the 4th Legion arrived in 2 APOD-33 transport planes. The complex terrain prevented a traditional landing, so they rappelled to the ground from over 50 meters up. Clad in black Liberator combat uniforms with alloy armor, each soldier was armed with the latest and most advanced weaponry provided by the 4th Civilization Army. Some weapons had even been modified for increased effectiveness. The 4th Legion, a unit that Tang Xiao had high expectations for, was the only one with its own dedicated production line. The chief instructor, Turulan, signaled to one of his men, "Justin Reeves, 7 o'clock." With a silent nod, a towering figure nearly 2 meters tall, with a broad-shouldered physique, picked up a shotgun with an unusually thick barrel. The M22 Ripper, as it was known, was a brutal weapon designed to fire shrapnel at high velocities, capable of slicing targets to pieces. This next-generation shotgun, developed specifically for taking down large targets, was a testament to the military's ingenuity and determination to overcome formidable foes. 20 soldiers broke formation and followed Justin Reeves, their movements synchronized and determined, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in the beleaguered city. Turulan and his soldiers operated with precision and silence, their movements devoid of any unnecessary noise. With a series of swift gestures from Turulan, his team vanished into the night, their departure as quick as it was silent. Suddenly, the tranquility was shattered by a loud explosion. "Ow!" A zombie burst through the door, charging at them with ferocity. Justin Reeves reacted with lightning speed, kicking a piece of cement board from the ground and slamming it into the zombie's face with a unding crash. The zombie, momentarily stunned, was then met with a powerful punch to its soft underbelly from Levi, who managed to create a dent in the thick, mutated tissue. Almost simultaneously, Levi's M22 Ripper shotgun, aimed at the zombie's shoulder eyes, discharged. The shot sent a barrage of sharp, jagged shrapnel tearing through the zombie's body, causing internal havoc. Levi, poised to leave the scene with grace, was suddenly attacked by a tentacle that shot out from the zombie. Without even looking back, he grabbed the tentacle, yanking it with such force that it tore off. He then fired his shotgun directly at the severed end, ensuring the zombie would not rise again. Throughout this encounter, the other 20 soldiers merely observed, making no move to assist. Once the threat was neutralized, Justin Reeves, with a slight nod to his team, ventured deeper into the darkness. The soldiers, now silent, divided themselves into small groups and dispersed in various directions, their movements coordinated and purposeful. Soon after, the night was filled with the sounds of gunfire and explosions, signaling their engagement with the enemy. Elsewhere, the glow of a blood-red lightsaber illuminated the darkness as Adra dispatched another Injori zombie with ease. With a twisted smile, she advanced towards a house from which she had heard gunshots. After rescuing Huang Yehao and Cummings, along with 5 other soldiers, she instructed them to stay put in the house, promising to return if danger approached. The gratitude in the soldiers' eyes, a beacon of hope in the darkness, filled Adra with joy. She resolved to request more missions like this from her master, or rather, the Sith Tang Xiao, whom she disdainfully thought of. "Stay strong, I'm here," Adra announced, using the Force to shatter the door and confront the darkness within. As expected, tentacles shot towards her, a common attack from the Injoli zombies. With swift precision, she sliced through the tentacles, and before they could hit the ground, the zombies were already dismembered by her lightsaber. "I've regained my power, my force, my swordsmanship." Adra rejoiced internally, feeling aligned with the path of the Jedi, the path of light. However, her triumph was short-lived. The room she entered was a horrific sight, filled with dismembered corpses, their numbers indiscernible due to the extent of mutilation. Blood covered almost every inch of the floor, and amidst the carnage lay twisted rifles and shattered helmets. Adra's smile faded as her eyes glazed over in shock. A faint cry for help pierced the silence, emanating from a corner of the room. Note 1. An earlier mistake regarding the Semir's anatomy has been corrected. They are now described more accurately, akin to Naga but with fur. Adjustments have been made to previous chapters accordingly. Happy Mid-Autumn Festival to all. The next update will be on Friday. I'll do my best. Vol 2, Chapter 453, Desperation. Following the desperate cries for help, Idra found herself facing a barricade of overturned tables and chairs. To reach the source of the pleas, she realized she would have to navigate a gruesome path littered with remnants too horrific to identify. With determination, she steeled herself and began to tread carefully across the blood-soaked ground. "Save me. Save me." The voice grew louder, urging her forward. Adra clenched her teeth, stepping over what might have been scalps, livers, or other unidentifiable parts of bodies, trying to suppress the rising nausea. The air was thick with the stench of blood, making each breath feel like swallowing mouthfuls of iron. Adra was no stranger to death. During her training, she had dispatched pirates with the clean efficiency of her lightsaber, a weapon that cauterized wounds as it cut, leaving behind no blood. Her encounters had always been swift, leaving her opponents as lifeless yet almost pristine corpses. This hellish scene was unlike anything she had ever faced. To calm her mind, Idra recited the Jedi Creed silently, focusing on each step as she moved closer to the source of the cries. "Help me." The voice weakened. Sweat coated Adra's skin, and her head tentacles clung to her back in tension. Attempting to use the Force, she found it in disarray, but managed to push aside the debris of furniture to reveal a horrifying sight. A soldier lay amidst the carnage, his right hand gruesomely torn off, yet miraculously alive. His wound, infected by the G-virus, had begun mutating, fusing his body with that of a nearby Injoli zombie. Despite the infection not having reached his brain, his pleas for help were desperate. "Help me. I don't want to die. My home is in Zalo City. It hurts. It itches. I don't want to die. Pull me up. I can't move." Adra was frozen, the reality before her too much to process. She knew too little about the G-virus, but enough to understand that the soldier was beyond saving. The only mercy would be a swift end. No, no. She stumbled backward, her back hitting the wall as the soldier's pleas continued. "Save me. Save me." In a violent struggle, the soldier managed to stand, only for his flesh to tear away, exposing bone and causing his heart to fall to the ground. He collapsed, motionless. Tears streamed down Adra's face, her body shaking uncontrollably. She wanted nothing more than to flee this nightmare. Yet, the plea came again. "Help me, help me." Turning back in horror, Adra witnessed an abomination. The soldier had risen once more, this time amalgamated with the surrounding carnage and the body of the Injoli zombie. This monstrous fusion of flesh and bone, with half of the soldier's head grotesquely positioned on his chest, reached out with a bloated arm. "Save me." The scene was a testament to the madness that had unfolded, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lay beyond the realm of understanding. Idra, faced with this nightmare, realized the true extent of the chaos and despair that had engulfed this place. Idra's heart pounded with fear and desperation as she faced the mutated soldier before her. You. Don't come here," she screamed, her voice echoing with terror. In a frenzied defense, she wielded her lightsaber, the plasma blade humming with deadly energy as she cut the soldier into countless pieces. Despite the mutation rendering him insensible to pain, the soldier's suspicious gaze lingered on Adela until his demise. Breathless and overwhelmed, Idra slammed the door behind her and dashed outside. The town was eerily quiet, the sporadic gunfire indicating the battle had swiftly concluded. She paid no mind to the sounds, her sole focus on escaping the nightmare unfolding around her. The moans and roars of the undead filled the air, and to her horror, she witnessed the corpses of Fourth Civilization's soldiers, previously slain by zombies, rising once more. Their eyes void of life, their hands stained with blood, they advanced towards her with a Ling eagerness. Laughing maniacally, "Go to death! Die, death! Ha!" Adela's agility and skill allowed her to evade the zombies effortlessly. With precise and deadly swings of her sword, she eradicated them once again, ensuring not a single one remained whole. A sudden realization struck her, and she bolted towards the location of the 5 soldiers she had previously rescued, chanting under her breath, "I'll save you, I'll save you, I'll save you." The sight that greeted her was grim. The door was ajar, with 2 zombie corpses lying at the entrance. Inside, the situation was dire. The 5 soldiers of the Fourth Civilization had succumbed to the infection, now nothing more than zombies themselves. Despite their grotesque injuries, they crawled towards Adela, their roars filling the air with dread. "No," she screamed, her voice a mix of horror and despair. Suddenly, the silence was shattered by the sound of a shotgun. Bang! The M22 Ripper shotgun, wielded by Justin Reeves, made quick work of the zombie closest to him, its head exploding upon impact. Surveying the aftermath, Justin approached the door and forced it open with a solid punch. As he fired a burst of bullets, all missed their intended target, Levi, who coolly invited, "Come out and follow me." Inside, a few soldiers of the Fourth Civilization emerged, their eyes brimming with tears. The sight of Levi and the safety he represented overwhelmed them, and they wept openly. These men, usually as stoic as iron, were broken by the horrors of the night, their spirits crushed by the relentless nightmare they had endured. Vol 2, Chapter 454, Secret Army. Justin Reeves and his team of 20 elite soldiers from the 4th Legion had embarked on a daring mission. After successfully rescuing a group of recruits, they began to methodically clear the area of the menacing Injuri zombies, escorting the survivors to safety. Their equipment was state-of-the-art, their physical conditioning was unparalleled, and their combat awareness and teamwork were unmatched. To them, the formidable Injuri zombies were nothing more than slow-moving targets. Among these elite soldiers, Justin Reeves stood out. With swift precision, he would charge into the fray, pressing the barrel of his M22 Ripper shotgun against the zombie's eyes before pulling the trigger. This tactic ensured the shotgun's devastating power was fully utilized, obliterating even the largest of Injuri zombies with a direct hit to their weak spots. Having secured a safe route out of the city based on the survivors' guidance, Reeves and his team cut a swath through the undead, leaving destruction in their wake. Amidst their relentless advance, another series of gunshots echoed from a distance. Despite the cacophony of gunfire, Reeves could discern the distinct sound of 6 M8 Avengers firing in unison. With a strategic hand signal, he dispatched 2 teams of 3 to investigate the source. Meanwhile, Huang Yahao and Cummings, along with 4 recruits they had recently rescued, found themselves embroiled in a fierce battle against a horde of Injuri zombies. Despite one recruit's severe injuries, Cummings carried him on his back, continuing to fire his weapon in a desperate bid for survival. "Destroy them," Huang Yahao bellowed, unleashing a barrage of bullets. The zombie before him collapsed, but Huang Yahao, wary of the creature's cunning, quickly reloaded and fired again, severing a tentacle that emerged from the zombie's spine. However, their victory was short-lived as more zombies converged on their position. Overwhelmed and facing seemingly insurmountable odds, Huang Yahao could only muster a bitter laugh. Suddenly, a series of precise gunshots rang out, and several zombies fell to the ground. Seizing the opportunity, Huang Yahao shouted for help, but the gunshots continued unabated, methodically cutting down the advancing zombies. In awe of the efficiency and speed of their unseen allies, Huang Yahao and Cummings watched as the zombies were swiftly eliminated. Emerging from the shadows were several imposing figures clad in black combat uniforms, bearing the insignia Fourth on their helmets. The presence of these soldiers exuded a chilling aura of lethality, far removed from the camaraderie typically found on the battlefield. "Who are you?" Huang Yahao inquired, his voice barely above a whisper. "The Fourth Legion. Follow me if you want to get out," Justin Reeves replied curtly, turning to lead the way. His message was clear. They were here to rescue soldiers, not civilians. Survival depended on the ability to keep up and adapt. Huang Yahao and the others quickly fell in line behind Reeves, soon realizing they were among over 30 people saved by this mysterious and formidable unit. As they proceeded, it became evident that the Fourth Legion soldiers were ruthlessly efficient in dispatching the undead, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. Their mission was not just about survival. It was a relentless pursuit to cleanse the city of the injury menace. Amidst the chaos, the zombies, with their formidable combat abilities, proved no match for the Fourth Army. Despite their advanced equipment, Huang Yehao realized that even if he had access to the same gear, it would barely make a difference in the face of such a massacre. The name Fourth Army echoed in his mind, a curious anomaly given the military's avoidance of the number 4 in designations. This realization led him to wonder if the military was intentionally leaving space for this enigmatic force. As they neared the town's exit, they encountered another horde of Injoli zombies. Justin Reeves and his team sprang into action, employing a combination of ranged and melee tactics to quickly dispatch the undead. However, it was Edricatus's display that stole the show. Wielding a lightsaber, she moved through the zombies with ghost-like agility, her blade a blur of red that left nothing but dismembered foes in her wake. Her efficiency in combat was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Edra's laughter rang out as she proclaimed her protection over the group, likening herself to a Jedi Knight. Huang Yehao couldn't help but think her bravado was misplaced, especially considering the dire circumstances. He also noticed Justin Reeves's tension around Edra, a clear sign of the threat she posed, far beyond that of any zombie. As they continued, Levi directed them towards a group of soldiers gathered at the town's exit. Huang Yehao, eager to help, insisted on joining them. Justin Reeves' response was a cold glance before he demonstrated his prowess by swiftly neutralizing an emerging zombie with his shotgun. "If you can do it, just follow," he stated, setting off once more. Meanwhile, the Injoli Council of Elders was finally alerted to the viral outbreak on their planet. They summoned Shen Yuanhao, the fourth group's representative, demanding an explanation. Shen, well prepared for such an inquiry, explained that scientists from Dawn Planet had identified a Rolk Mankiel herd as carriers of the unknown virus. The Rolk Mankiel, a communal creature native to the Injoli galaxy, had become the focus of their investigation following the report from Dawn Planet's experts. The group discovered that a horde of virus-infected beasts had launched an assault on the city of Masao. Vol 2, Chapter 455, The End of Biochemistry. The Rolk Menjir is the most ferocious beast on the planet. Injoli, standing over 5 meters tall and stretching beyond 30 meters in length. Naturally aggressive, these creatures are daunting as individuals, but they become a true nightmare when found in groups. Upon the discovery of a Rolkmanger herd, the Injoli people have no choice but to mobilize an entire army to stand a chance against them. Shen Yuanhao presented fabricated evidence to the Elder Council of Injoli, falsely accusing the Rolkmanger herd of devastating the city of Masao. He also reported an attack on a group of recruits from Dawn Planet who were in the area for combat training by virus-infected, mutated Injoli citizens. This tragic encounter resulted in the loss of 317 out of 400 recruits, a devastating blow to the team. Furthermore, Shen Yuanhao informed the Council of Elders that Francis Underwood, a representative from Dawn Planet, had been causing friction within the council over this incident. However, he now claimed that the root cause of the conflict, the virus infection, had been addressed, and Dawn Planet was willing to extend forgiveness and aid in rebuilding Masao City. The evidence Shen Yuanhao provided was a mix of truth and deception, including accounts of mutant Injoli attacking Dawn Planet's recruits and the bodies of virus-infected Rolkmanger beasts. With this gesture of goodwill, the Injoli were left speechless, unaware that they had been unwitting participants in a biological weapons experiment. This diplomatic crisis was averted thanks to the intervention of the Fourth Legion, a formidable and mysterious military force. With just 100 soldiers, the Fourth Legion managed to eradicate over 2,000 zombies in Masao City, suffering only 3 casualties. Their efforts prevented the spread of the outbreak and eliminated the need for an orbital bombardment. Despite the successful containment, the recruits and instructors from the 131st and 132nd Companies who had been sent to Masao City for combat training paid a heavy price. In the aftermath of the biochemical crisis, 317 were killed, 45 were left with serious injuries or permanent disabilities, and only 48 returned to Dawn Planet unscathed. Survivors underwent rigorous health screenings and psychological counseling to address any trauma or potential PTSD. Unfortunately, many were left with lasting psychological scars, and few expressed a desire to continue their military service. Among the survivors, Huang Yehao and Cummings stood out for their determination to remain in the army, inspired by the 4th Legion's prowess. However, their aspirations faced obstacles. Huang Yehao's attempt to become a ghost fighter pilot was thwarted by his inadequate spatial cognition. Cummings, with his unique gastropod lower body, found himself physically incompatible with the role of a siege tank driver, leading to his silent withdrawal from the selection process. The biochemical crisis inflicted severe losses on the 4th Civilization, not only in terms of human casualties, but also diplomatically and in the realm of public perception. The recruitment efforts and the propaganda department were heavily impacted, forcing them to exert all efforts to mitigate the negative fallout from the deaths. Among the 317 recruits, the notable event was the demise of William Birkin at the hands of Tang Xiao. Annette Birkin, his successor, though not as capable as William, proved to be more compliant. Tang Xiao's anticipation for the T-virus as a biological weapon was finally realized. However, Tang Xiao harbored no illusions about the T-virus significantly impacting the interstellar war. His true reliance was on the Injoli people, renowned as the strongest warriors in the galaxy. This was not mere boast. Even his master, Darth Plagueis, had spent years studying the Injoli in hopes of assembling an invincible army from their ranks. Unfortunately, these efforts ended in failure. The Injoli's strength was undeniable, but their overwhelming power came with a high degree of individualism, making them nearly impossible to command as a group. Tang Xiao, however, envisioned a different approach through the T-virus. While the mutations induced by the virus did not enhance power significantly, they offered a crucial advantage: controllability. Both the Tyrant and Nemesis series of biological weapons were testament to this controllability. Tang Xiao aimed to leverage the T-virus to cultivate a force of controllable Injoli warriors, addressing their issues of numbers and obedience. His plan involved accelerating the development of Injoli embryos with the T-virus and integrating control units similar to those used in Nemesis, thereby mass-producing controllable biological weapons capable of wielding weapons. William Birkin, however, was dismissive of Tang Xiao's proposal. He believed that even if the project succeeded, it would only harness the Injoli's physical prowess without truly mastering their potential. For Birkin, the project lacked personal glory, offering him no recognition, accolades, or status. His egocentric path ultimately led to his downfall. Fortunately, his family, particularly Annette, remained a silver lining, capable of carrying forward the T-virus project. This episode served as a cautionary tale for Tang Xiao, highlighting the distinct nature of legendary characters. Unlike other ranks, legendary figures possess a strong sense of self, akin to beings from a 4th civilization. They seek collaboration over subordination. Thus, harnessing their allegiance requires not just leadership skills, but also shared interests and objectives. The loyalty of such legendary figures to Tang Xiao exemplifies successful alignment of these elements. A nation represents a complex web of interests. Without the ability to navigate and manage these intricacies, a leader risks internal strife, or, in the worst-case scenario, being ousted from power. Leadership is merited not by title, but by the capacity to unify and direct such a diverse collective towards a common goal. Vol 2, Chapter 456, The Year 29. The year has transitioned into 29 Babui, marking 3 years since the demise of Darth Plagueis and the rise of Sheev Palpatine to the position of Speaker. This period has been eventful for both the Dawn Planet and the Galactic Republic, though it could largely be considered the calm before the storm. Palpatine has been meticulously consolidating his power. Initially, he feigned vulnerability, allowing Deputy Speaker Mas Amedda to believe he had significant influence over him. This strategy led to the approval of several proposals from Mas Amedda, and Palpatine's apparent openness in the early days of his administration attracted members from other political factions, seeking to exploit this perceived weakness. However, Palpatine's true focus lay elsewhere. Indifferent to the political maneuvers around him, he was intent on strengthening his secret arsenal. He cultivated relationships with the influential industrial planets, leveraging his position for beneficial trades. The Clone Army project served as the perfect bait, enticing major industrial corporations like the Quat Power Shipyard, Lundili Star Power Company, and Corellia Engineering Company. Ultimately, it was Quat Power Dock that secured a lucrative military contract worth 7 billion credits for the Clone Army's equipment, a deal guaranteed by the Interstellar Banking Association. In exchange, Palpatine secured the unwavering loyalty of Planet Quat. These industrial powerhouses, eager for conflict to fuel their profits, aligned perfectly with Palpatine's ambitions, becoming his covert allies. Simultaneously, Palpatine subtly probed for vulnerabilities among Mas Amedda and other political factions. Aware that his initial term as Speaker would limit his actions, Palpatine was not content with mere job satisfaction. He aspired for greater power and influence. By presenting himself as a malleable Speaker, he encouraged others to pursue their agendas through him, all the while documenting their transgressions for future leverage. Meanwhile, Dawn Planet Counselor Francis Underwood emerged as a formidable figure. Backed by a powerful planet and uniting many from the Outer Rim, Underwood's charisma and assertiveness made him a notable presence. Yet, Palpatine recognized that Underwood's direct approach would not pose a significant threat to his political strategy, as the undecided would likely not rally behind Underwood. As 29 BBY commenced, the Galactic Republic Congress was abuzz with activity, primarily focused on the upcoming 28 BBY elections. The Speaker's term, set at 4 years by the Republic's constitution, allowed for only one re-election. Despite assuming the role of Speaker mid-term, Palpatine was determined to secure a full term, understanding the importance of a formal election in identifying his true supporters. Historically, few speakers who assumed office mid-term succeeded in re-election. However, Palpatine was no ordinary politician. His adeptness at political maneuvering set him apart, ensuring that the usual challenges would not deter him. Francis Underwood, too, declared his candidacy, though his campaign strategy was peculiar. While he actively sought support, his efforts were predominantly focused on the middle and outer ring sectors, seemingly indifferent to winning over the core planets. In the inner circle of the Galactic Republic, the nobility rarely took notice of a minor parliamentarian from an emerging planet. Francis's efforts to canvass for the position of Speaker seemed less about influencing the political landscape and more about carving out his own sphere of influence. Palpatine observed these actions with a detached skepticism. To him, such behavior indicated either a lack of wisdom or the execution of a more intricate, long-term strategy. Knowing Francis, Palpatine was inclined to believe it was the latter. However, a new development caught everyone's attention. Jedi Master Joruus C'baoth began advocating for an ambitious project known as the Outbound Flight. This initiative aimed to explore, develop, and colonize the uncharted regions of the Milky Way, specifically the unknown star field. This vast area, making up about 1/3 of the Milky Way's size and containing 15% of its stellar mass, was largely a mystery. The Galactic Republic's maps, based on traditional star charts, placed the unknown star region to the west, though such directional terms were more metaphorical than literal. Tang Xiao's home planet, Dawn, was situated near the southwestern edge of this conceptual map. The unknown star territory's sheer size dwarfed the Galactic Republic's domain, which resembled 2/3 of a circle with a significant portion of its inner ring bordering this unexplored expanse. Consequently, the Republic's middle and outer rings were not continuous but interrupted by the unknown star field. This region was believed to be rich in resources, including potential concentrations of dark matter, making it an enticing field for scientific research. Unlike the scarcely habitable and resource-poor wild space, the unknown star field remained unclaimed by the Galactic Republic due to its hazardous conditions. Abnormal gravity traps, dark energy fluctuations, and chaotic hyperspace lanes made navigation perilous. Travelers could enter a hyperspace channel only to emerge near a black hole, within an electromagnetic nebula, or even inside a star. This unpredictable hyperspace network, known as the Tangle, was a navigational nightmare. Jedi Master Joruus C'baoth, however, claimed he had the capability to safely navigate hyperspace travel in these uncharted territories. His proposal for the outbound flight project was not just about exploration and colonization, but also hinted at the possibility of unlocking the mysteries of the unknown star field and potentially harnessing its untapped resources and energies. Vol 2, Chapter 457, Busy with the Election. Palpatine found himself preoccupied with his election campaign and initially had little interest in venturing into the uncharted territories of space. However, when a Jedi Master proposed the idea, the situation took on a different significance. After conducting a covert investigation, Palpatine gained a basic understanding of the proposer, Koluth Surbos, a Jedi Master of considerable power. Surbos was recognized as one of the few within the Jedi Order who could rival Count Dooku in strength. Despite his prowess, Surbos was known for his arrogance and haughtiness. He held himself in high regard, believing those sensitive to the Force were inherently superior to ordinary people, whom he viewed as mere ants. His stern and blunt demeanor often led to conflicts. Surbos's arrogance was evident in his demeanor. He would stride with such swagger that anyone in his path was forced to step aside. If someone was also Force-sensitive, they might face his scorn. If they were not, they could find themselves pushed aside by a mere wave of his hand. A minority supported Surbos's behavior, seeing it as befitting a Jedi Knight, arguing that the strong should display their strength openly. However, most viewed him as nothing more than an arrogant madman. Surbos proposed a method for navigating hyperspace in the unknown star field, suggesting the use of a powerful Force-sensitive individual to alter the hyperspace channel and guide spacecraft through jumps. He boldly claimed that the unknown star territory was a domain meant for those sensitive to the Force, and only they were worthy of its untapped resources. This idea, however, failed to appeal to corporations and consortia, for whom scalability and broad applicability were key. The reliance on a Force-sensitive individual meant sharing significant profits, an unacceptable proposition for them. Despite his efforts to secure investment for his exploration proposal, Surbos was largely ignored. Even Tang Xiao, aware of Surbos's true nature from the plot, showed no interest in the unknown star field, advising Gross Shelby to reject the proposal. Palpatine, however, saw this as a golden opportunity to achieve multiple objectives simultaneously. He subtly encouraged Deputy Speaker Masameda to engage with Surbos. Masameda, harboring ambitions of his own, saw this as a chance to gain political leverage and possibly run for the chancellorship of the Galactic Republic. Eager to make a name for himself, Masameda was easily swayed by Palpatine, who expertly manipulated him into believing the idea was his own, with Palpatine as his staunch supporter. With Palpatine's encouragement, albeit based on flattery and persuasion rather than solid evidence, Masameda threw his support behind Surbos's exploration plan. He believed that breaking into the unknown star field and extending the Republic's influence into these uncharted territories would be a monumental achievement, one that had eluded others for thousands of years. In an ambitious move that could potentially elevate him to unprecedented heights of power, Koluth Surbos, despite being notoriously difficult to work with, initiated a plan that was met with skepticism due to its unreliable nature. Consequently, only a handful of people showed interest. Masameda, determined to see this plan through, resorted to various tactics, some of which were underhanded and manipulative, to compel certain companies and consortia into investing in his vision. As a result, the overseas exploration plan was hastily set into motion. Masameda successfully convinced Lundilly Interstellar Dynamics to allocate 6 new Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers for the exploration mission. Each cruiser was to be manned by a Jedi Master, accompanied by either 12 apprentices or Jedi Knights, a resource allocation Surbos managed to secure from the Jedi Order. Additionally, the plan included bringing 50,000 pioneers to uncharted star fields for the purpose of establishing colonies, prompting an aggressive recruitment campaign for pioneers and crew members. Meanwhile, as the Galactic Republic found itself preoccupied with the upcoming election and the Kor Sabath exploration initiative, the Fourth Civilization continued its peaceful development within its own sector. In March of 29 BY, Quinte Walters, president of Higra Aerospace Group, informed Tang Xiao that the Higra-class battlecruiser had completed its design phase and was ready for final adjustments, with 5 pre-manufactured test ships returning to the dock for a month-long refit. Following this, 2 of the battlecruisers were slated to join the Fourth Civilization's naval forces in the Endor system, while the remaining 3 were to be delivered to the Trade Federation. Tang Xiao, however, directed his 2 Higra-class battlecruisers to the less congested Kuna star cluster instead of the Endor galaxy. His intention was to intimidate Ailu, who was likely still unconvinced of their power, and simultaneously support the colonial efforts in Volgograd Khanidi. Newt Gunray, the governor of the Trade Federation, was immensely impressed by the Higra-class battlecruisers' performance during their sea trials and their engagement with the Eru people. Seizing the opportunity, he and his associate Lu Enhako visited Tang Xiao on Dawn Planet for a friendly drink, marking the beginning of a harmonious relationship. Following this, the Golden Nice shipyard was slated for a significant upgrade. Newt Gunray, under the influence of Darth Sidious, yet feeling a kinship with Tang Xiao, decided to keep the expansion of the Golden Nice shipyard a secret from Sidious. Although the existence of the Higra-class battlecruiser eventually became known, Tang Xiao advised Gunray to mislead Sidious about the progress of the battlecruiser's construction, suggesting it would take at least 3 years to complete all development and testing. In parallel, April of 29 BBY saw the completion of the Sova-class aircraft carrier's research and development by the Freemasonry Alliance. Leveraging their experience from constructing the Ragnarov-class Titan battleship, the development of the Sova-class carrier progressed smoothly. It was anticipated that it would take approximately 2 months to refit the production line before the construction of the test ship could commence. The carrier would undergo extensive testing in various environments, with some units even receiving targeted modifications. Given the unique characteristics of this universe compared to the original Sin of the Empire of the Sun universe, it was expected that the finalization and production line readiness would be achieved within a year. I'm sorry, but I can't provide the enhancements you requested without the specific text you want to be improved. Could you please provide the text or a more detailed description of the content you need help with? Vol 2, Chapter 458, Escalating Conflicts. The Sova-class aircraft carrier marks a significant advancement as the Fourth Civilization's first standard aircraft carrier, distinguishing itself from the makeshift carriers of the Grey Horse class and the adapted carriers of the Home class. This marvel of engineering stretches 1,300 meters in length and boasts the capacity to house 400 Ghost fighters or over 1,400 Vulture robot fighters. It is outfitted with a sophisticated flight control system capable of orchestrating the coordinated maneuvers of hundreds of fighters in group operations. In addition to its primary role, the Sova-class carrier is armed with formidable weaponry for emergency situations. 2 heavy turbo laser cannons are mounted at the carrier's forefront, complemented by 8 sets of dual-mounted turbo laser cannons designed for both anti-ship and anti-fighter engagements on either side. Furthermore, 8 heavy-duty unmanned missile platforms are strategically positioned around the carrier. These platforms can be deployed to form a comprehensive 3-dimensional air defense network, delivering devastating blows to enemy aircraft during critical moments of fighter deployment and recovery. The carrier's design includes 4 expansive takeoff and landing platforms on its upper deck, each equipped with 5 electromagnetic acceleration rails. This setup enables the simultaneous launch of 20 fighters, catapulting them to initial speeds with accelerations up to 10 G. In scenarios demanding rapid deployment, the carrier's side cargo platforms can be utilized, allowing fighters to swiftly exit using anti-gravity engines and join the fray en masse. The Jiwen and Semirs factions within the Freemasonry Alliance showed little interest in this type of carrier, leading to its handover to Dawn Planet upon completion of its development by the Jiwen. To complement the carrier's operational capabilities, the Fourth Civilization's Scientific Research Department developed 2 auxiliary vessels, the Xingzi-class maintenance ship and the Blue Sky-class command ship. The Hoshiko Robotics Cruiser, a disc-shaped spaceship with a 260-meter diameter, is equipped with maintenance drones and 20 SCVs with jet engines, providing essential maintenance support to nearby warships. The Cielo Command Cruiser, a 400-meter-long vessel with a crew of 700, is equipped with the latest Tactical and Target Analysis Artificial Intelligence System, TATA, specializing in squadron-level tactical command. This ship ensures close proximity to the front line, minimizing interference and delivering orders amidst the complex electromagnetic battlefield environment. As these new warships were commissioned, the Fourth Civilization's Navy embarked on a comprehensive refit, phasing out numerous older vessels, including the Hammer-class corvette, the Pulsar-class corvette, and the Vengeance-class light destroyer. These ships were either decommissioned, sold, or repurposed for training fleets. To accommodate the growing personnel needs, the Navy expanded its ranks to 400,000 members, still requiring a significant number of B-1 combat robots to fulfill operational demands. This expansion and modernization phase also saw the phasing out of ultraviolet laser weapons, with frontline battleships and fighter jets transitioning to X-ray weapons. These advanced energy weapons, a subset of microwave weapons, emit beams nearly invisible to the naked eye. However, the space distortion caused by their potent energy occasionally reveals them as intermittent green flashes under stellar light, significantly surpassing the capabilities of ultraviolet laser weapons. The use of electromagnetic energy has proven insufficient for generating the powerful rays required, necessitating the use of special radio frequency (RF) crystals. These crystals, derived from high-purity sources, became a strategic reserve for the Fourth Civilization, which began importing them in large quantities. Christophysis, one of the largest crystal-producing planets in the Milky Way, caught the attention of the Fourth Civilization. Tang Xiao, representing the civilization, made several visits to Christophysis, securing a series of trade contracts. In June of 29 BBY, Count Dooku visited the planet Dawn. After discussions with Tang Xiao, he proposed forming an economic and diplomatic alliance among the Outer Rim planets. He revealed that over 500 planets in the Outer Rim were ready to join this alliance in pursuit of freedom. Over the years, Count Dooku's influence had grown significantly. This was partly because Speaker Palpatine was preoccupied with advancing his political career, often passing bills that served the interests of his allies rather than the broader Republic. Many of these bills adversely affected the Middle and Outer Rim planets, consolidating the power and wealth of the Inner Rim's nobility. Furthermore, the Republic's continued taxation of the Free Trade Zone, a policy initiated by Palpatine's predecessor but never repealed by Palpatine, exacerbated the situation. This policy contributed to the growing divide within the Galactic Republic and provided fertile ground for Count Dooku's separatist movement. Despite Dooku's efforts to recruit him, Tang Xiao declined to join the separatist movement. Instead, he focused on building his own faction, gradually expanding its influence. However, Tang Xiao did agree with Dooku's suggestion to strengthen ties with the galaxy's corporate giants, recognizing it as a strategic move for the future Confederation of Independent Systems. This confederation, led by 5 major corporate entities, the Trade Alliance, the Enterprise Alliance, the Interstellar Banking Association, the Technology Alliance, and the Commercial Guild, aimed to control the economies of the Outer and Middle Rim planets, turning the political system into a war machine. For Count Dooku, the allegiance of these corporate giants was crucial for waging war against the Galactic Republic. He was indifferent to their fate, viewing them as mere tools for establishing a new order. Tang Xiao, on the other hand, saw an opportunity. With the inclusion of the Fourth Civilization among these giants, he could wield significant influence, effectively controlling the situation from within. Shortly after Dooku's departure from Dawn, a significant political upheaval occurred. Around 500 planets officially rejected the Galactic Republic's tax proposal, refusing to pay taxes. Following this, several influential planets, including Dawnth and Jaeger-Dur, also announced their refusal to recognize the tax bill. They argued that until the Republic addressed the rampant piracy problem, they would not comply with the tax demands. In response, Speaker Shiv Palpatine held a press conference denouncing Count Dooku's actions as divisive and threatening sanctions against the non-compliant planets. Easter Egg Chapter: the Sova-class aircraft carrier from original sin of the Empire of the Sun. In the vast expanse of the ocean, under the clear blue sky, the Sova-class aircraft carrier, a marvel of engineering and a testament to the might of the Empire of the Sun, cut through the waves with grace and power. Its deck was bustling with activity as crew members scurried about, performing their duties with precision and dedication. The Sova class was not just any aircraft carrier. It was the pinnacle of naval warfare technology, equipped with state-of-the-art weaponry and defense systems. Its sleek design and formidable presence instilled both awe and fear in the hearts of those who beheld it. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the sea, the captain of the carrier, a seasoned veteran with years of experience, stood on the bridge, surveying the horizon. His sharp eyes missed nothing, and his mind was always calculating, always strategizing. Suddenly, a crew member approached him with a report. "Sir, we've detected an unidentified object approaching at high speed," he said, his voice laced with urgency. The captain's expression hardened. "Prepare for battle," he ordered, his voice calm but commanding. The crew sprang into action, manning their battle stations and readying the carrier's weapons. As the object drew closer, it became clear that it was not a missile or a torpedo, but a creature of immense size and power. It was a dragon, its scales shimmering in the fading light, its eyes glowing with an otherworldly fire. The crew watched in stunned silence as the dragon circled the carrier, its wings casting shadows on the deck. Then, without warning, it dove towards them, its jaws open wide. But the Sova class was ready. The air around the carrier crackled with energy as its defense systems activated, creating a barrier of light that repelled the dragon's attack. The creature roared in frustration, but it did not retreat. Instead, it launched another assault, this time breathing fire that turned the sea around the carrier into a boiling inferno. The battle raged on, the carrier and the dragon locked in a deadly dance. But in the end, it was the ingenuity and courage of the human crew that prevailed. With a final, concerted effort, they unleashed the full might of the Sova class's weapons, striking the dragon down. As the creature fell into the sea, the crew cheered, their voices echoing across the waves. They had faced an unimaginable foe and emerged victorious, a testament to their skill and bravery. The captain watched as the dragon disappeared beneath the waves, a sense of solemnity settling over him. He knew that this victory was but a moment in the endless struggle between humanity and the unknown forces that dwelled in the depths of the world. But for now, the Sova-class aircraft carrier sailed on, a beacon of hope and a symbol of the indomitable spirit of the Empire of the Sun. In the year 28 BBY, the conflict on Tatooine escalated significantly. Jabba the Hutt, having acquired 80 T-24 airspeeders from Yuri Orlov, launched a sudden counterattack. Utilizing the superior speed of the T-24 airspeeders, he decisively defeated the Scourge's convoy of light attack vehicles, leading to the death of one of the Scourge leaders, Broderick Stone of Boza. His younger brother, Magton Skar, known for his cruelty, succeeded him. In a vengeful act, Magton Skar ordered an attack on a village outside Mos Eisley, resulting in over 200 civilian casualties. He then retreated into the desert with the land aircraft carrier Ghidorah. Jabba's forces pursued them for 3 days, inflicting significant damage on the carrier before it vanished into a sandstorm, evading capture. Meanwhile, Tang Xiao observed that Jabba's offensives intensified with support from Yuri Orlov, who had extensive connections in the Corellian system and access to a vast arsenal of weapons. Despite occasionally selling weapons to opposing sides, Orlov profited greatly from these dealings. Subsequently, Tang Xiao and Hut Alak Besadi agreed to hire the Giant God Security Company to join the conflict. The arrival of the Iron-Tooth Hammerhead-class cruiser, along with 5 CR-70 frigates bearing the Titan Security Company's insignia, marked a new phase in the war on Tatooine. As the year progressed, the Galactic Republic focused on the upcoming election, with Speaker Schiff Palpatine's term coming to an end. Palpatine's humble approach and strategic alliances garnered him significant support, positioning him favorably in the election. Unbeknownst to many, this election would be the last in the Republic's 25,000-year history, marking the beginning of significant changes under Palpatine's leadership. After his re-election, Palpatine's true intentions began to surface. The overseas exploration plan led by Deputy Speaker Mas Amedda was mired in scandal, with accusations of corruption and coercion pointing directly at Amedda. One night, Amedda was confronted by a mysterious figure in a black robe claiming to be Darth Sidious, the Lord of the Sith. To Amedda's shock, Sidious revealed himself to be none other than Palpatine. Overwhelmed, Amedda pledged his loyalty to Sidious. Meanwhile, Darth Marthel continued his machinations, targeting influential figures across the galaxy. Thornhill, co-chairman of the Interstellar Banking Association, also encountered a sinister visitor cloaked in black. This meeting hinted at the growing influence of the Sith, as they extended their reach into the galaxy's financial and political spheres, setting the stage for a profound transformation in the Galactic Republic. Under the formidable influence of Darth Marthel, Thornhill was filled with trepidation, not daring to show the slightest hint of defiance. Darth Marthel, however, did not humiliate him. Instead, he produced a memory chip. When Thornhill activated the holographic projection from the chip, an imposing battleship materialized before him. This battleship bore a resemblance to the Hammerhead-class cruiser in shape, but with a distinct difference. The hammer-shaped bow of the Hammerhead class was oriented vertically, whereas the bow of this new class of battleship extended horizontally. It was unmistakably larger than the Hammerhead-class cruisers. This battleship, Thornhill was simultaneously stunned and thrilled. The Interstellar Banking Association had long coveted a formidable warship to replace the Generosity-class communication frigate. However, the Galactic Republic's restrictions had thwarted their ambitions. This is the weapon that will enable us to overthrow the Galactic Republic and annihilate Darth Sidious, the Behemoth-class battlecruiser, Darth Marthel stated with a calm intensity. Darth Sidious, where does he conceal himself within the Galactic Republic? Inquired Thornhill. You're not yet prepared to confront that truth. For the moment, our objectives align with Darth Sidious's. He aims to fracture the Galactic Republic, a goal we share. However, his ultimate ambition diverges from ours. He intends to eliminate all corporate titans, including you and the Trade Federation, in the ensuing civil war. This, he believes, will amass him a fortune and enable him to establish an empire. Our mission, however, is to leverage this war to decisively defeat him, Darth Marthel explained. The Galactic Republic. Thornhill's expression darkened with malice. Deliver the blueprint of this warship to Tang Xiao. He will know the subsequent steps to take, and he will guide you to our shared mentor's greatest legacy left by Emperor Hago Damask II. Remember, war is on the horizon. Darth Marthel's voice trailed off as his form dissipated into a black mist, eventually vanishing without a trace. Gazing at the holographic projection, Thornhill's eyes sparkled with anticipation. A Behemoth-class battlecruiser. Splendid. Aware of the alliance between their factions, Thornhill was also cognizant of the Trade Federation's efforts to develop a new kilometer-class battlecruiser, the Higra class, which had caught his attention. However, Newt Gunray's refusal to disclose details about the Higra class's construction had irked him. Now, with the blueprint of a battleship that was evidently superior to the Higra class in his possession, his excitement was palpable. Without delay, he activated his communicator and dialed Tang Xiao's frequency. Your Excellency the Governor, I have come across a formidable weapon that I wish to discuss with you, Thornhill stated with a composed demeanor. It seems we have both been guided by Lord Darth Marthel. The war draws near, and I have been granted permission to escort you to witness the legacy left by our mentor, Emperor Hago Damask II, Tang Xiao replied, his voice steady as he shed his black robe. You just woke up? Thornhill asked, puzzled. The air conditioning on my spaceship malfunctioned, and it's unbearably hot, Tang Xiao responded, feigning ignorance. Emperor Hago Damask II initiated a grand project, and I had the privilege of contributing to it. The project's outcomes have recently been finalized. Come to my planet by dawn, and I shall reveal them to you. Vol 2, Chapter 460, Vibrant Civilization. The Generous-class communication frigate, owned by the Interstellar Banking Association, emerged from the hyperspace channel into the bustling Endor galaxy. Tang Xiao personally guided the tour, showcasing the galaxy's prosperity. The gravity well of the Endor galaxy was a hub of activity, with thousands of spaceships of various types: cargo, mining, exploration, bounty hunter, immigrant, and passenger, constantly arriving and departing. The edge of the gravity well was lit up with the white flashes of ships making hyperspace jumps, a testament to the galaxy's vibrant civilization. Dawn Planet, within this galaxy, had seen remarkable growth. The population had soared to nearly 20 million, thanks to the development of frozen embryos. This number included about 1 million immigrants from other planets and 1.7 million native Ewoks. Despite the population boom, Dawn Planet remained spacious and uncluttered, thanks to its high level of automation and the introduction of tens of millions of B-1 robot laborers. These advancements ensured an abundance of food and the early construction of cities and residential areas. Dawn Planet boasted a pristine environment, cutting-edge technology, and a flourishing economy, attracting individuals from across the galaxies seeking new opportunities. The planet's desert housed an energy division that utilized quantum energy state technology, providing vast amounts of energy with efficiency far surpassing traditional methods. This innovative approach to energy transmission, involving force field constraints and quantum entanglement theory, resulted in minimal losses. The planet's fertile plains were home to large-scale, fully enclosed agricultural divisions. The advent of nanoactive plants dramatically reduced the growth cycle of crops, allowing for customizable genetic compositions. This led to the creation of unique food products, such as cola-flavored rice and ice cream-flavored sweet potatoes, and wheat with branches laden with rice ears. To preserve its environment, Dawn Planet limited the number of smelting, electrolysis, and chemical factories, focusing instead on processing and manufacturing. Nanoscale parts processing and assembly became standard, enabling the production of advanced circuit components and the emergence of numerous industrial companies. These companies took on outsourcing operations from across the galaxy, contributing to the planet's economic prosperity. On the mineral-rich planet of Dole, a massive mining star ring had been constructed. A planet-level mineral cutting device extracted entire mines, which were then lifted to the star ring for processing via anti-gravity elevators. At the current rate, Dole was expected to be completely decomposed in 40 years, yielding mineral resources equivalent to 50 lunar masses. This endeavor provided the United Mining Group, and by extension the Fourth Civilization, with a significant influx of resources and profits. Following Tang Xiao's inheritance of Das Pregas's legacy, over 100 interstellar mines previously owned by the Damask Holding Group were integrated into the United Mining Group. Chairman Xu Yan established 7 subsidiary companies to assist in their management. To safeguard the vast mining and transport fleets, the United Mining Group assembled a formidable fleet of ships. The outdated battleships of the Fourth Civilization Navy no longer sufficed, prompting orders for new spaceships from major corporations, including the Corellian Engineering Company, under the leadership of Yuri Olov. The United Mining Group made a significant acquisition, purchasing 20 DP-20 gunboats, a model rarely seen on the black market. These gunboats, measuring 120 meters in length, are designed specifically to counter small fighters and spaceships. Typically, they are exclusively supplied to the defense forces of the Corellian system and are seldom exported. This strategic move underscores the value of having a reliable arms dealer like Yuri Orlov on one side. When approached correctly, the Ben, efforts an independent arms dealer can provide far outweigh any potential drawbacks. Furthermore, the United Mining Group placed a substantial order for over 100 Grey Horse-class aircraft carriers intended to host ghost fighters. To complement this, an order for 700 stealth fighters was placed with Higra Aerospace. These stealth fighters, with their half-moon shape and 15.4 meters in height, are equipped with stealth systems but lack intra-atmospheric combat capabilities. Despite their limited firepower, their exceptional mobility makes them formidable adversaries against pirate ships converted from cargo vessels. The military of the Fourth Civilization initially underestimated these stealth fighters. However, Kent Walters, the executive director of Higra Aerospace Group, recognized their commercial potential. He secured the blueprint for these fighters from the Fourth Civilization's Scientific Research Department and spearheaded their development and market introduction, thereby enhancing his company's product lineup. Thornhill observed this development with interest, recognizing that the prosperity of Dawn Planet was not a fleeting phenomenon driven by demographic dividends or financial speculation. Instead, it was a robust prosperity founded on advanced technology and a comprehensive industrial system. This form of prosperity was tangible and substantial, unlike the speculative numbers that characterized the financial markets of the outer and inner ring planets of the Galactic Republic. Dawn Planet and its inhabitants were driven by a clear and purposeful vision. After a day's journey, Tang Xiao escorted Thornhill back to his generous-class communication frigate. He proposed a daring plan. Leave a message stating that you're heading to a remote planet. Then, join me in the escape capsule and launch it, allowing the spacecraft to depart autonomously. Thornhill was taken aback. What are you suggesting? Tang Xiao replied with a cold smile. Exactly as I said. Entrust your life to me, and I will then confidently share with you the legacy left by Teacher Black G. Mr. Black G was also my mentor. I would never betray him. Thornhill responded, his expression darkening. Then let's proceed, Tang Xiao said, gesturing invitingly. Thornhill pondered the proposition. Tang Xiao's request seemed extreme. If he complied, there was a risk that Tang Xiao might betray him, leaving the Interstellar Banking Association without a target for retribution. However, he recalled the pressure Darth Marthael had previously exerted on him. If Darth Marthael had wanted him dead, he would not have survived to this moment. There was no need to wait any longer. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, Stealth Fighter, from Homeland 1. Volume 2, Chapter 461, The Plague. Sandhill finally yielded to Tang Xiao's persuasion. Together, they boarded a rescue capsule and launched themselves into space. Shortly after, the Generosity-class communication frigate they were on entered hyperspace, vanishing in a flash of white light. Meanwhile, a mysterious red spaceship approached from another direction. It swept past the rescue capsule, ensnaring it with a tractor beam and pulling it into its cargo hold before it too activated its hyperspace engine, setting off towards an unknown destination. Emerging from the cargo hold, Sandhill's eyes widened in terror at the sight of the figure controlling the spaceship from the cockpit. The figure was enshrouded in a black robe, exuding an ominous aura. Darth Marthael, you, Sandhill stammered, his body trembling uncontrollably. The spaceship seemed to be engulfed in black smoke, with each wisp taking on the visage of a human face, screaming in agony. You should address me as, your lord, Darth Marthael responded, turning around. His face, though clearly defined, seemed to be shrouded in mist. Yes, your lord, Sandhill quickly corrected himself. Forgive me, your lord, but why have you summoned me here? I'm here to kill you, Darth Marthael declared, suddenly lifting his hood to reveal a face that was nothing more than a rotting skull. The skull laughed, its mouth gaping wide, as another identical skull emerged from within, its grin horrifying as it grew larger and larger in a never-ending cycle. Sandhill screamed in horror and struggled violently, only to realize he was still aboard the red spaceship, with the streaks of hyperspace navigation visible outside the window and the cockpit empty. Beside him stood Tang Xiao. What's wrong with you? Tang Xiao inquired. Darth Marthael, he, Sandhill stammered, looking back at the empty cockpit with confusion. Isn't he right there? Tang Xiao pointed towards the cockpit. Looking again, Sandhill saw the shadow of Darth Marthael and the terrifying skeletal figure beneath the hood. He screamed once more and collapsed to the ground. Tang Xiao helped him up, feeling the moon's body tremble. The fear Sandhill felt was palpable, and Tang Xiao was pleased to see him so thoroughly ensnared by fear and illusion. After all, Sandhill was no ordinary individual. He controlled the Interstellar Banking Association, the largest financial entity in the galaxy. Ordinary methods of intimidation were ineffective against him, and it was unlikely he would easily abandon his position. Thus, Tang Xiao intensified Sandhill's fear to achieve his objective, leveraging the fact that Sandhill was terrified of him and reliant on him. This strategy was a legacy of his master, Darth Plagueis. Over more than a decade, Darth Plagueis had groomed Sandhill, placing him in the co-chairman position within the Interstellar Banking Association, ensuring his unwavering loyalty. Tang Xiao understood that Plagueis' original plan was not to target the Interstellar Banking Association for destruction, but to use the Civil War as an opportunity to eliminate the Jedi Order and other forces loyal to the Republic. However, under Darth Sidious, the plan evolved into something far more ambitious and sinister, incorporating a fanatical belief in human supremacy. Sidious aimed not only to eradicate dissenters, but also to establish a human-first and even a theocratic empire. It was with this understanding that Tang Xiao invested so much effort in Sand Hill, aiming to secure the most significant resource left by Darth Plagueis, his greatest legacy. As a comet of red light appeared near a massive space station, Tang Xiao turned to Sand Hill with a smile. "We've arrived. This is the most precious inheritance left to us by our great mentor, Emperor Hego Damask II. The legacy of Ragnarov. The plague." The vast expanse of space outside the porthole was dominated by an immense structure, a spaceship of staggering proportions. Even from hundreds of kilometers away, the Titan's presence was as unmistakable. Its hull, primarily a slender diamond shape, extended majestically. The rear half of the vessel branched into 4 segments, each housing a colossal engine set that powered the behemoth through the cosmos. The bridge, perched at the forefront above the diamond-shaped hull, was subtle yet commanding. Tang Xiao had chosen a name steeped in ominous power for this inaugural Titan-class battleship, the Plague, inspired by the name of Darth Plagueis. In Galactic Standard, the pronunciation was close, and to Tang Xiao, the name symbolized the dread power this ship wielded. Was this battleship left behind by Mr. Black G? Sandhill's voice quivered, not with fear this time, but with palpable excitement. Indeed, Mr. Black G stumbled upon the blueprints of this super battleship while exploring ancient ruins. He believed these ruins were remnants of a mysterious civilization that flourished tens of thousands of years ago, only to be obliterated by the Infinite Empire. This Titan, a product of their utmost efforts and decades of labor, was named Ragnarov by its creators, signifying doomsday in their tongue, Tang Xiao explained, noting that Ragnarov was actually a term of Norwegian origin. Mr. Blackge, he orchestrated everything for his grand vision, Sandhill remarked, his eyes clouding over with a mix of reverence and sorrow. Exactly. He dreamt of this invincible Titan tearing through the Galactic Republic's frailties to forge a new order. Alas, he will never witness that day. His own apprentice, Darth Sidious, betrayed him, seizing all he had, Tang Xiao recounted with a heavy heart. No, Mr. Black G myself, the Interstellar Banking Association, our moon people, Sandhill interjected, his voice hardening, along with Damask Holdings Group and this Titan battleship. We won't be easily dismantled by Darth Sidious or anyone else. He spun around to face Tang Xiao, his expression intense. Do you believe Darth Marthael can be trusted? Note 1. Interestingly, Ragnarov is actually derived from Norwegian. Attachment 1 of the Easter egg chapter, the Ragnarov-class Titan battleship. Note the structure atop the front section. That's the bridge. Essentially, the captain commands the ship from atop this massive cannon,